What time is it? It's clobbering time!
I am EC3. I am a man.
This guy continues and continues to amaze me.
Because I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
I'm pretty sure Ishii is held together by cement.
I wasn't supposed to win championships and get to the top of every company I've ever walked into, but I have.
This has to be one of the greatest matches I've ever watched in my life.
Because the Bullet Club, we rule the world.
You truly have no idea I got goosebumps on top of goosebumps right now. My nipples are hard. I am excited. It's been way too long. Way too long. And again, I will never forget this moment in my entire life. Thank you so very much. I'll see you all at WrestleMania.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
Hello, this is Wrestle the Max, episode 184, and we are the Every Wrestling Fan podcast. And of course, we are brought to you by the WTM Network and in partnership with ForumMania.com and LastWordOnSports.com. And certainly, I can attest to Money Certainly Talks. And talking to you now is Mr. Gary Vaughn.
Talk money. That's right. We are talking Shane McMahon today. Of course, that is going to be one of the biggest topics we get into today. That'll be during Monday Night Raw because that was his big re-debut, if you want to say it that way. It's been a long time coming, so we're glad to see him. We'll be getting to a little bit of Shane McMahon talk because there's lots of different things in this whole puzzle, and we're going to try to put them all together. Plus, we've got a big Ring of Honor 14th anniversary show to preview for you guys. It is going to be a great pay-per-view, so we're going to talk about that, kind of break it down, and get ready for when we actually do cover that pay-per-view later on. We're also going to talk some New Japan. There's lots of news with New Japan this past week. Of course, Nakamura was made official in the WWE. So there's a few things coming out of New Japan, a few things that are going on in their world. Plus, we are going to talk some, NXT, TNA, Ring of Honor, like I told you a while ago, Lucha Underground. So we are covering everything under the sun, but we're going to have a blast doing it. I'm looking forward to it. A great show. And, of course, don't forget, too, we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week this week, and we may have a good one for you. So you want to listen for that. So, guys, this has been a great, past weekend. We got a chance to do a Fastlane review. That was a great special. Sadly, it cut off prematurely, but that's okay. At least we got through Fastlane without that cutting off. And of course, we got our ratings, and I didn't do mine. We didn't just get mine just in enough time, but that's okay. No big deal. I gave mine a 6. So a great show, though. If you have not listened to our Fastlane review, you need to go check that show out. It is great. The easiest way for you to get that is just like Sean mentioned earlier in the show, the W2M network. That channel, that just the whole podcast network right there gives you everything under the sun that we do, and you'll never miss any of these specials. You'll never miss anything we do. It's a lot of fun. You want to go definitely subscribe to that for sure. But that's business talk, guys. I got to ask you guys, how have things been going? How about you, Paul?
Nothing special. Just been working, doing the thing, as it were.
Doing the thing. I like that. It's classy. Sean, how about yourself?
After having to take a $1,700 hit on my car for getting it fixed, which I wish I could have just gone back and told them not to fix one thing so I'd still have some kind of money. But aside from that, just kind of been I've had a podcast probably every day this week. At some point. So other than that, just kind of been there working and doing whatever,
Yeah, it's that time of year. It really is. It's kind of funny because, in the past we've come on here, oh man, the holidays, and we've come in here talking about various events going on, but now we're kind of getting into that whole little bit of a lull where everybody's working, the same old same, things like that are going on. So I get
We're
it,
doing like WWE, waiting for WrestleMania.
Exactly. See, there you go. I like that. I haven't really, honestly, you guys are not far from what I've been doing. I haven't done anything giant either, just going through life and trying to get some things planned. Of course, WrestleMania is a big part of my plan, and, where all the shows we're going to be going to in the future. And right now, me and my wife are discussing vacation. So that could be something that's going to be definitely taking a lot of that money that I don't really have at the moment, but we're adding to that fund. So
it's always good to add into that fund.
Yeah, it's like, okay, go to Jim Ross's shows or take a cruise with my wife and have more money to spend on the cruise. Jim Ross, you're losing the battle right now, Jim. You better give me some more incentives. So we'll find out.
Well, hey, if it's in Orlando next year, Gary, you got to come, and then you can go to the Jim Ross show. Maybe take that cruise next year.
Exactly. And so,
or take that cruise this year. I'm sorry, and then next year y'all can vacation over here.
Yeah, my sister's in Florida as well, so I killed two birds with one stone, right? So, lots of great things. So that's what I'm sure everybody listening right now is like, "Dear God, get on with something else." But this is kind of what we're doing in our lives and a few things. So just wanted to kind of share. It's always kind of nice.
Hey, there's always a fast forward button.
Yeah. Just don't
Not if you're listening live, but if you're listening any other time, there's a fast forward button.
Yeah, and for everybody listening right now live, which we definitely appreciate you listening live, we are going to move on now. So no longer will you have to worry about having a fast forward button. So let's go ahead and jump into some big news, guys. We got lots of news this week, interesting stuff. So let's go ahead and do some quick hits. We'll be right back with that.
Lord, we ought to call this like mega hits today or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
I'm not going to put you guys on mute anymore for those things, so
that's fine.
Right ahead.
Good. Let's go ahead and start with New Japan. Okay, so there's been lots of movement. We keep talking New Japan and quick hits because there's been so much movement in their roster, so many changes, and we're about to talk about some more changes. But the one thing that I think is interesting here is their president was, I guess, doing pretty okay, but they didn't really think he was doing great, I suppose, so they kind of parted ways here. So this guy, to me, is someone I don't know anything about. Paul, can you educate me a little bit about this guy? And is this any significance to what's going to happen with New Japan in the future?
Which guy? Sorry, I was reading something.
The president of New Japan leaving. Their
Okay, so the president of New Japan was the guy who has been very big on trying to sort of mimic what the WWE has done in an attempt to grow New Japan into being their rival. Stuff like the network stuff. I don't know if the insane amount of Gaijin signings for New Japan was on him either, but a lot of stuff that he's done for New Japan was to try and put them in a similar mold business-wise as WWE, and apparently that has not been working. So here we are.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and we were kind of talking about this off air before we got on the podcast, and Sean, you were talking about the fact that, this is a part of the fact that their New Japan world is not doing so well, and I was kind of surprised by that.
I'm not particularly, because this is something that's still totally new. I mean, if you look at, not to take it away from this, but the network has launched over in Japan, the WWE Network, and they've taken a lot of stuff off of J Sports to put it on WWE Network, and it's also not in Japanese. It's in English. A lot of people can't get it because of that. And then it also takes away from people that are watching it on J Sports because they no longer get Japanese SmackDown, Japanese NXT, Japanese main event, none of that. So, WWE's losing business over there, and, New Japan is not doing that well with the New Japan world. And part of that really is because, it's not just on Harada. It's just, or it's not on Tezuka. He's been replaced by Kochiko Harada. It's just that they don't promote it. They don't promote New Japan World that much. It could also, they just signed that deal with Muse when Wrestle Kingdom started, or before Wrestle Kingdom, and that's to try to get them more promotion, get the guys more promotion. They talked about that $2 million they're going to put behind Okada for marketing to make him huge. The 5-year deal they're going to make Okada sign. That he hasn't signed yet, but he's going to sign at some point. But just, they wanted New Japan to be a $100 million a year company, and it's not that. Kadani, the owner, he wants New Japan to be right next to UFC and WWE. And, that's kind of not happening. Whether it's New Japan World, whether it's just, their whole business is not, they're kind of flat. They're not stagnating, but they're flat. They're not like really going up either. And then, losing the guys that they lost. And then, with Ibushi too, which we're going to talk about in just a second, we don't know what that's going to happen with Ibushi, but he's certainly not going to be the next big guy now because of that. This is we're going to have to see how this affects New Japan. At least their shows have been rocking it. But it seems like their business end has not been doing so great,
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how their business is going to do with the fluctuation that continues on with their roster. Fan favorites are leaving. Nakamura going to the WWE. We also have the fact that the Bullet Club has been kind of taken down a notch because of the fact you've got other guys leaving them. AJ Styles, Gallows, Anderson, those guys leaving. And so there's a few things here that, have been interesting. They've tried to kind of continue their work with Ring of Honor. They just signed a deal with Michael Elgin for 2 years, so he's going to be sticking around with them more than he will be Ring of Honor, and that could be a positive for them. But there are guys like Ibushi who will be leaving to do his own thing, to basically start his own promotion because he says working 2 promotions is just too difficult. Stuff like that. That's going to make me wonder how this is going to continue, how the fans are going to perceive it, what's going to be going on. And, let's just talk about Ibushi for a minute here, Paul. This is kind of a big deal for me because I think this guy is such a talent. When I think of this guy, because I only know him from New Japan, I don't much of a DDT stuff I don't know anything about. To me, it's kind of a weird thought that he would not be a part of that company.
And it's a very drastic move, I think. Because New Japan, I think, was counting on him to come back and was going to push him to something very big, probably Kenny Omega feud, probably something else. But, he was going to be a fixture, and that's out the window for them. He's been a top guy in DDT for many years. That's out the window for them, too. And that's not to say he can't work the off show for him here when you're a freelancer, but if he's content to sort of work a lesser schedule and opening his own promotion, and people are into the guy, so I'm sure people will come to watch the shows that he puts on and all that, but we'll have to see where this goes.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I think like Paul said, very drastic, very weird. I don't necessarily believe that it was taking so much of a toll on him when all you're doing is working for 2 companies. Just because you're having to work in 2 different rings, that all of a sudden it's this exhausting thing. You could have decided not to work their house shows and just work their big shows. I think it's more of a maybe somebody named Shinsuke might have gotten his ear and told him about this Global Cruiserweight Series going on, and perhaps some North American money might have started talking, because technically if he's freelance, just like what happened with Liger, nobody can stop him from being in that Global Cruiserweight Series thing. So just a thought. Imagine that, guys. All the people that we talked about before, and then you throw Kota Ibushi in there. Just how much more amazing is that Global Cruiserweight Series?
Yeah, that's insane. Is really what it is. Especially if they keep getting all these people. We keep like Zack Sabre and Kota Ibushi. I mean, my God.
and if he's freelance, guess what he could also do? He could show up in NXT.
That's true.
Imagine Nakamura Ibushi having an NXT. That's pretty crazy.
Oh. Or Kento
Anybody,
whenever he comes back. I mean,
just anybody. Like, that'd be crazy. He just goes on a run where he has he's the new Johnny Gargano or whatever. That'd be amazing. But I mean, what do you think, Gary? Just all this stuff. Did you go on mute again?
Yeah, sorry. No, this is, great if you ask me, for fans of the WWE, anybody who else wants to see this Cruiserweight series. I think it makes it, that much more interesting. Kind of feel bad for some of the, like I said, the New Japan fans and people who really enjoyed having him over there. But Sean, you got a great point. Nakamura talking to Ibushi could be a real factor here. And the fact that, Nakamura got a pretty sweet deal when it comes to money, especially starting out in NXT. He's not making regular NXT talent money. He's already preparing to be on part of the main roster with the money he got. So that could be something where he's talking to Ibushi. Like you said, financially, it looks pretty good. This could give him an opportunity over here. It's just amazing. It really is. And I would have never thought this. It's just, and for anybody who has never seen the people we're talking about, if you're just listening, you're like, man, I don't know much about this. Just go look up these guys. Very great big talents. I mean, these are guys that are main event players. So you need to go check them out. Definitely. So you kind of understand where we're coming from on this and why we're kind of excited about this whole thing. And I think it's great.
I think this is huge for New Japan in a way that, Shibata still does freelance technically, but it seems like they're having more faith in him because at least, he, at any moment, I think they believe at this point they could probably sign him. Whereas, Bushi's kind of made it a point now that, okay, unless he's doing this just to try to see if somebody will just throw him a ton of money and he signs, which could happen, obviously. New Japan could just decide, okay, we really need a star right now. Let's just throw him all this money and see if he just signs for us and forgets DDT. I don't know. He's already going to be at the first DDT show in March, and his promotion that he's going to have, it's some kind of research institute, the Ibushi Research Institute or something, is going to be kind of an offshoot of DDT. So, you have to wonder how much that also affects New Japan as far as wow, you really kind of got yourself in bed still with DDT. Do we really want to push you at this point? But if I'm New Japan, I rush to try to do that Kenny Omega match really quick at some point.
Isn't it funny that, Kenny Omega had been offered several times to go to WWE, and one of the big reasons he didn't want to is because he wanted that match against Ibushi. Now Ibushi's leaving, and I think that needs to happen, if you ask me, and I hope it does happen, because if the guy stayed around just to do that, come on, let's not leave him hanging there. What do you think, Paul?
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think Omega is stumbled whether the match with Ibushi is going to happen or not at any time in this point in time. He stumbled into a position to where he can become a large player for New Japan, which admittedly isn't all that bad of a gig either.
No, it's not. I think that was one of the things he talked about. Like, I really, really thought about going to NXT, and then he was really considering it before the stuff with AJ and all that came up, and then he said, "Oh well, maybe I need to stick around. Stuff could be happening here." And lo and behold, he's now double champion with his, we presume some of his best friends. So seems like he found himself in a great position. He's over here trying to make waves, challenging the New Day. I mean, just that could. I wonder if Vince Navy would let it go if, say, the New Day aren't champions anymore, and you let that happen on NXT. I don't know. I could never see them doing it on a WWE show, but on NXT where it's on the network and, you don't have to necessarily have it on a TV where you're glorifying New Japan talent or whatever. That's the only way I could see it happening. That's a total long shot.
I would love to see it, but I still don't even imagine on NXT that Vince would go for that. I don't know. I want to see a super kick party in NXT. I just don't know if it's going to happen though.
I don't know. I would think a co-promoted show would happen before that scenario, but you never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's this whole world of change going on right now, especially with New Japan, WWE, and NXT. They've got a lot of change going on with them. So, I mean, this continues, and I'm sure next week we'll have more information about more changes. And I think this whole thing between New Day and Kenny Omega is fun. It's neat, but I just don't think that anything's really going to come of it. So we'll have to continue to update you if we find any more information. We're going to talk New Japan Cup series, but before we do, I want to throw a few news topics out there before we get to that. Then we can kind of finish out with the New Japan Cup. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame, guys. Godfather is now going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. This is something that I think that is neat. I like Godfather, always have. But you got people out there who really question this move and really say, what has Godfather done? I mean, especially since they're just inducting Godfather technically. He's got many other personas out there, the other characters that he has done.
It's Rikishi syndrome again.
Yeah, exactly. And people question, is this really a guy that deserves it? Paul, what is it?
Watch, they're going to induct Kama in like 3 years. Like, all his personas will be in there.
Hey, I hope the oddities get in. So.
Okay. At this point, seriously, like, I kind of agree at some points. Like, I know some of these guys are like so old that no one gives a crap, but you're talking about there's some guys that are still not in here. Like, I know he's dead, but like a Crippler Ray Stevens not being in your Hall of Fame, but you put in the Godfather. Just, I don't know, man. Like.
Yeah, see, and that's where people question, and I think that's why you have some people who legitimately say this is not a Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's a gimmick. Oh, and it's a gimmick to sell tickets to WrestleMania at this point. It's just it is what it is.
I don't know. I mean, I think eventually we're gonna get a place, an actual building that hosts people to come see the Hall of Fame and all of that. It's not right now, but I think eventually they're gonna get there. So. I don't look at it as illegitimate for me personally. I enjoy it. Sure, it's not as prestigious as some of the other more elite, but I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. I don't have a problem with them.
Godfather going in has the same line of thinking for me that they use for Coco Beware. The guy has certainly stuck around with the WWE for a very long time, a reliable mid-card, somebody who they felt like they could always go with, and certainly tried to push in so many different ways under so many different characters. And And it's just one of those guys I feel like that Vince wants to have in there because it's somebody that he feels like contributed to WWE. And there's not a problem with that at all.
No, it's not. That's what I try to, some people get really, they get mad in the group or whatever. It's just like, you guys got to understand, this is not, WWE's version at least is not like the NFL or the NBA or MLB. They're not trying to put in just the elite of the elite. They're putting in company guys that have been there a long time, like you said, Paul. Just anybody that basically it almost means like if you had a long career in WWE, you're probably getting in, regardless of your accolades or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, the in-ring talent, yes, it does matter, but this is also WWE, where it's entertainment too, and entertainment's big here, and I think the fact that Godfather is going in is a proof of that, hey, he entertained lots and lots of people. Just because his in-ring stuff was not up to par to some of these other guys in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean anything. Not only that, I mean, think about the fact that the guy legitimately in other promotions and, of course, in WWE doing Papa Shango, all the different things he did, he did have a career that was successful. Sure, it wasn't a main event career, but it was a mid-card guy that really did some, positive things for the company. So, I hope that when he goes in the Hall of Fame, he comes out, does the whole Godfather shtick, and maybe he can bring out Victoria and Gail Kim, somebody, just for nostalgia's sake, as his hoes. So.
Oh, you can't say ho.
Oh, I'm sorry. Working lady. There you go.
Yeah. He also got to let everybody know it ain't easy, but not talk about his job at all.
There you go.
Even though clearly you can see what he does just in the videos, but it's fine. WWE, you keep telling yourself that nobody can tell what that is.
Exactly. We're talking about the Hall of Fame, and a couple weeks ago, last week, we talked about Daniel Bryan and the possibility of him going to the Hall of Fame this year. That's up in the air. We'll see if that does happen. It'd be cool, but we don't know. There's another young guy that is in a situation that Daniel Bryan found himself in. That is Tyson Kidd. Apparently, he's not being able to get cleared by doctors to come back. This is sad for a guy that is so young. He's really had a few sparks in the business, but never anything giant. And for him right now, he's got to kind of answer the question that Daniel Bryan did. Is this time to retire? Am I going to be forced to retire? I don't know. What do you think, Sean, about this? I mean, this is kind of a sad deal. Tyson Kidd was.
It sucks. Like, this is never a great thing, and it really sucks that. I wonder if this affects Joe at all, because if he doesn't get to wrestle again, then that affects you as, oh man, I was involved in this move, and now he can't wrestle anymore. I'm sure it's going to hurt Tyson Kidd really bad, because he was really getting to a point where he was starting to prove everybody wrong, that he could be more than just a guy on Superstars or whatever, and he gets hurt, and then he won't even get to come back at all. Like, not even do what Bryan did and come back for a little bit or something. Just that just really sucks, because he was so good.
It's very true. This is, same situation, different circumstances. When you talk about a neck injury, and especially one as severe as the one he suffered, the fact that he could even come back and wrestle again would have been miraculous. So, I mean, it's an absolutely terrible thing that if this does cost him his career, then, there's a lot of stuff you probably have to look at, but, you got to do what's best for you, and if he can't come back, then, he's got a great life to live outside of wrestling still.
Yes, he does. And, of course, he can still be a part of the WWE. We already know he's on Total Divas. He's got some things he can do. So it's not like this guy, just like Daniel Bryan, it has to be away from the business. But it's just such a sad situation because of the potential he had. I mean, I'm not saying this guy's going to go and be a world champion, but he could definitely be a part of a tag team with Cesaro that could definitely be in the picture of one of the premier tag teams. So I just hate to see this. I hope it's not the case. I hope we get more information coming out that he's going to be okay. That's our hope and wish for him. A few other things we need to kind of briefly talk about before we get into New Japan Cup. They had Extreme Rules being switched with Payback now. So Extreme Rules is going to be at the end of May. May, and of course Payback's going to be moved up to the beginning. I don't know if this really matters a whole lot. I mean, I think it's interesting that they kind of put that out there. So that's information for you. Plus, there is a network special coming out, and it'll be in Toronto. If you've heard about this, there's been lots of talks about the card and different scenarios. But what we do know is you got some NXT talent that will be at that show at Toronto. Sami Zayn being one of them, Dash and Dawson, and of course we also have Enzo and Cass being there. So they are, going to be a part of the show somehow, some way. What do you guys think about this stuff?
The WrestleMania or the WWE Network special, I think it'll be interesting, especially if they at least try to use this to promote WrestleMania in any shape of way possible, instead of this just being another televised house show. The NXT people on there, especially Sami Zayn, has me interested. This being in Toronto, what if they use this to sort of springboard him into something to do with Kevin Owens? There's that hope there still for me.
Yeah, I'm going to hope that too, that they're holding off on this to maybe make this a thing with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. From the looks of SmackDown, it looks like either AJ is going to be involved in a tag team with Jericho, and they're going to be involved in the tag team schmoz thing, or it's just Jericho biding his time before he turns. So things are open for Kevin Owens, and I think I've talked about it. Paul's talked about it. It would be wonderful storytelling to have that at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, IC title. I think that's a perfect match for people like us that go to these shows and we really want to see good wrestling. And even then, it's just a really cool thing that you get to see, with all their history together.
I think it's great, but my thought process is that I still, for some reason, feel like AJ is going to be in that IC title picture with Owens at WrestleMania.
I mean, it's still possible they do the. I hope they do it. If they're going to do it, I hope they do it more with the U.S. title. But still possible they could put that in some kind of big, multi-person match too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you never know. It's so interesting to me that during AJ's debut, they kept talking IC title. So that was just kind of interesting to me. Well, guys, the last thing we're going to talk here is New Japan Cup, and so Sean, kind of give us some information on New Japan Cup and what's going to go down.
Well, I don't think we really got to talk about too much about. I just want to say, I've been, we've talked about it on here. I talked about it with Tom, and I'm really, really happy for Michael Elgin that he got his 2-year New Japan contract. That's awesome for him. It was between that or waiting for WWE, and he could have signed with NXT. They tried to get him to come for to do a Gargano Ciampa spot where he'd just come in and they'd try him out and whatever. But every time he was supposed to do one of those, there was a New Japan thing he was already doing, and then he was going to come in to go to some of the camps or whatever, and he was also doing a New Japan thing. So he couldn't ever get in there with WWE at a right moment, but they did go after him. TNA apparently wanted him, but he was just kind of like, nope, I don't want to go there. And it kind of seems to be the theme with TNA. This is where he's kind of become a big deal, and I'm glad that now they can push him and feel good about it. He's going to be on their tours now, and that's good. He didn't seem like he was very happy doing the ROH stuff, so I'm glad he doesn't have to feel like he has to go back there and do a lot of stuff with them either.
I mean, I really hope he's still working both, to be honest. But I mean, this is where he wants to be. It certainly feels like it when you watch him in the ring. That this is the place where he wants to be right now. This is where he wants to be doing what he loves to do, and more power to him. And congratulations on getting the deal.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's get into this. New Japan Cup starts on Thursday morning next week. So I'll talk about the first show. The next show will be that Friday, and I think they go into the weekend, so we'll probably have some extras for that as well.
Semi-final and finals on the 13th, which is a Sunday.
But aren't they having like one on the 8th and something like that too? I mean, I think it's
I mean, they're probably doing tour shows, but it won't be... what I'm looking at says the final and the semi-final are on the 12th.
Ah, okay. So, the brackets are... some of these, I'll tell you what. Yano and Yujiro. I'm just so looking forward to this thing. Paul, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, that's a match that you could sort of just, like, blot out, and the tournament would be even better. But you gotta have these two, so...
I'm surprised Paul even responded to that, Sean, honestly.
Yeah, no, I thought I would get the cold shoulder there for a second. Like, just go on. Just go on. Now my computer decided to freak out. But you got Tanahashi and Fale, which maybe Tanahashi loses?
I don't know. I think the interesting route is you have Tanahashi go over there, and he would get the winner of Hiroyoshi Tenzin and Elgin, and you have Elgin when you have those two face off. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I know. That would be awesome to have the two tag team guys face off. Yes, I would assume Elgin wins that. You've got Ishii and Evil, the King of Darkness, going against each. Seriously, that is his nickname.
That's awesome.
That is indeed. And he that match gets the winner of Naito and Yoshihashi, and we all know who's going over there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yes, Naito.
Yes, Gary, you can rejoice that your boy Naito will be going to the next round.
I'm so happy.
But you also got Togi Makabe and Tamatanga, which is probably going to be Makabe.
You never know. I mean, they're not getting past whoever they get the Yuji Nagata Hiroki Goto winner there. And whoever wins that is not going over whoever's in the next match, you know?
You have to wonder how far with the depression gimmick, if they're going to have Goto lose in the first round or they're going to have him go for a while. His buddy Shibata is not in this since he's a champion, so they could have him face off against, I guess, would he ever face Ishii? Would he have to get far to face Ishii, or I'm not looking.
He would have to make it to the finals to get Ishii.
Okay, yeah. So he's probably wouldn't be surprised if he loses this match. Nagata is actually the guy that's kind of in charge of all the Lionsgate stuff. So maybe they give him a nice little as a thank you kind of thing. Hanma and Kojima's interesting because it seems like they're still having Hanma do sometimes where he still loses the singles matches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very possible he could lose here. I'll just go ahead and go with Kojima.
I'm going to go Hanma because I think it'd be fun to have Hanma go over here. You have him go over. They get the winner of Yano and Yujiro.
Yeah, he's beating them.
Yeah, so whoever wins this is beating them. And then if you have that, I'm pretty sure, Naito's going to make it to that round too, because that would be who he would get there. So you have Naito and Hanma. That's a great way to have, your March 12th show start off. And can Hanma beat Naito?
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah. Oh, Naito would probably win, but it would...
Absolutely, but they want you to... The love for Hanma runs strong wherever they go.
Exactly.
Unless you're in Gary's house.
That's right. Exactly. Over Hanma, who? Naito.
But that's the first round. I mean, we'll obviously get through it when we get there and they've actually had the matches and stuff. But should be fun. The winner will face whoever they want out of the 3 champions or the 3 singles titles. But they're probably gonna pick Okada. So
yeah, especially because I'm about 98% sure that this tournament's going to be won by Naito.
Which would be great.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true. So, all will be right in the world of wrestling once that happens. Let's just say it that way. Who needs the page master when you got that happening? So, So, guys, I mean, that is the New Japan Cup, round 1. That is going to be really exciting. Keep tuned in with us. We might do some specials, like Sean said, and that'll be great, and you'll get a chance to really focus in on New Japan if you're a New Japan fan. But now we're going to move on. We're going to do some Monday Night Raw next. We got a lot to talk about Shane McMahon. That's right. He is back, and we are going to get a chance to kind of break down everything that happened in Monday Night Raw. But before we move on, I just want to say one thing, and I really would have done this in the intro, but I want to welcome a new show to the W2M network. This is a show we've plugged on this show plenty of times, never was affiliated with us, but now he is officially going to be a part of this show. This podcast is going to be a part of the W2M network family, and that is TWNE After Dark. That was right. Stephen Randall's podcast is going to be on our network, and we're really looking forward to that. He's been a part of the 411 Mania family for a long time. He's a big contributor over there. He's kind of slowed down on the writing, but he's still doing a podcast every week, and that is great. We are just totally excited about this because not only are we friends with the guy, but we just really enjoy his podcast. I listen to it weekly. I think a lot of it,
and it's short. It's a 1 hour thing. You don't have to make a big old time investment either. So
exactly, Sean's completely right, and it's a Sunday show. He records it usually on Saturday night. So your Sunday, driving in the car, whatever you're doing, it's a 1 hour show. You just pop it on, and maybe you're running around town on Sunday. There you go. You're in the pool on a Sunday afternoon,
and it's different from what we do. He hits himself, talking about storylines and things that are going on and stuff. It's a solo podcast, but he makes it interesting.
Yeah, he does. And he's Canadian, too, so bring your syrup.
Oh, my God.
I love the guy.
I knew you were going to make that joke. Oh, my God, damn it. Every time he's on, because Randall sometimes will guest on the video game podcast or whatever, and Gary will come on and be like, so how's the maple syrup going? It's so bad.
Yeah, it is. So, but anyway, thank you to Stephen Randall, and we appreciate him, and we're glad to have him on board. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and talk some Monday Night Raw.
Hold on, damn it, you got me on the wrong.
Sorry,
still typing.
Still chatting.
Okay, here we go.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
This is going to be great for me trying to still write a description while doing this at the same time. So, basically, okay. I'm just going to be up front here. We're going to have our big conversation about Shane McMahon. And I know there's probably a bunch of places that already had a huge conversation about Shane McMahon. But, hey, we haven't had it. So, if you're talking about Shane McMahon, you can fast forward. But there's a lot to unpack on this thing. So we're probably going to spend quite a while talking about this here at the beginning. And then we'll get into... You know what, Gary? Actually, let's just talk about the stuff that doesn't involve the 2 big segments. And then we can get into that. Because I think that probably makes it easier for everybody else.
That's right.
So the show actually started with the Facebook video, which I guess is going to be their new thing now. Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose... Well, Dean Ambrose is entering with his car into the car park, or the parking lot. Sorry, I'm thinking in English the Queen's English right now for some reason. And then Brock just comes from the other side of the screen and just starts kneeing the crap out of Ambrose and just slams him onto the car and everything. I really like this. It's something you don't see WWE do very much, even though we'll see it again somewhat on NXT. I mean, what did you guys think? I thought this was a really hot way to start this feud. Well, it's now a feud, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't before, seeing as the whole triple threat was built around them and this Roman Reigns sitting there looking like a doofus, but I loved this as well. This right now is the biggest reason I still want to, I'm looking forward to WrestleMania is Lesnar and Ambrose. I really think are going to put on. The match may not be technically terrific or anything like that, but Ambrose is going to put on one hell of a story here with Lesnar.
Yeah, and if there's anything, to kind of steal what, Paul usually comes with these great lines about what wrestlers are made of. And I look at this match and I just look at Ambrose, he's made of rubber. And, I guess you would say Lesnar's made of bricks or something. I don't know. But that's the way that match is going to probably turn out when you watch it at WrestleMania. But it's going to be a blast. It doesn't have to be technical. It has to be fun. And I think it will be. And I like this. I like the way they kind of started this out because it kind of takes me back in time when you saw the parking lot brawls or you saw things like that take place, and it was just different. And now when you do it now, to me, it's kind of like, oh, wow, this is something new. We don't usually see this. At this point of the show, I'm already 4 minutes in on the Authority talking about something. So that's what I kind of liked about it. It was something that just kind of changed up a little bit, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so, then you go into the show, and you have Brock and Paul Heyman out there talking. Paul Heyman just kind of saying, oh, I can't believe that Brock is not in the main event, or whatever, and then that, Lesnar's going to destroy everyone until that happens. And then then here comes an ambulance with that's Ambrose driving it himself. Somehow he's driving this ambulance, and he basically just keeps crawling to Lesnar and challenges him to a match at WrestleMania. No holds barred street fight. He was barely moving. He was doing great at selling this. And then Brock gives him an F5, and there you go. There's your match for WrestleMania. Did you like the way this was done? And once again, seems to be a divisive opinion about whether Ambrose is like a total idiot or whether he looked like Tommy Dreamer.
I want to say this. I am kind of over the whole driving a vehicle into the arena, at least when it comes to Dean Ambrose. For a little while there, I was starting to wonder if they were trying to make him.
With Bray Wyatt too.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder. Of course, back then I was thinking, okay, they're trying to do like the whole Stone Cold thing with Dean Ambrose. They're trying to kind of push him in that area. I kind of done with that. I know it's kind of part of the gimmick, but I think they could do other things. This is okay though. It makes sense. This is Dean Ambrose. He, like I said, he's kind of made out of rubber. You can do whatever you want to him, but he's going to keep getting back up. He's going to keep going. No matter how weak or what he is, but he just did a great job selling. I thought it was fine.
The rubber that Dean Ambrose is made out of is stitched together with just the most psychotic pattern of twine you could ever imagine, and that's Dean Ambrose. I love this because it fits that completely. He's insane. Nobody else wants to fight this guy, and here's this guy who might have the same body build I do, which I'm going to tell you folks now is not a lot, and wants to fight the walking, talking murder machine. It's nuts, but it's going to be awesome. And I love this segment, just to the moon and back. This was wonderful.
Yeah, I really loved it too. I love the fact that this is going to be a thing now. That basically Ambrose is going to do this. Hopefully it's not just a retread of this every freaking week. Hopefully they kind of, mix it up. Let's do some stuff. Obviously, I would assume that Ambrose is going to get the upper hand here a few times, or it's just going to be kind of dumb. Seems like we're going to get the whole Ambrose is going to just do everything he possibly. This is going to, this is not going to be Cena Brock Extreme Rules 2012. I'd imagine Ambrose will do everything he can, but Brock will eventually come out the winner. Brock hasn't been pinned since WrestleMania 29. I just don't see it here.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think I'm going to hold my opinion until I really can get more of this and see where they're going. Only because there's a lot that can change between now and WrestleMania. We're at the home stretch, but there's still stuff that could happen.
I think the WWE is in a position where they need to really start getting behind some of these guys. With half your roster down and seemingly this could happen again at any point in time, you take it as a lesson that you need to have some guys ready to go, and you put Dean over. Now is the time.
I'd agree with you, but this is WWE we're talking about. They don't always do things that make logical sense. You protected Brock a lot, and it's still a hardcore match. I just don't see how that makes Lesnar look bad if he loses that way. But we'll get on. We also got Roman being upset about Ambrose being attacked, even though he can't go out and help his friend or anything. Roman Reigns, the worst friend ever. Unless he's trying to distract on purpose or on accident. I gotta say, JoJo is terrible as a backstage announcer person. Just like, maybe I shouldn't blame JoJo. I should blame the people that are being the directors. Like, can you not make them ask a question besides, how are you feeling? Just like, God, do you not have anything creative for these people to say? Just, man, I miss me and Gene Oakland. Just.
Oh man, you never know. Maybe JoJo studied to be a psychologist.
I don't. Gary, seriously, like when you watch, doesn't that make you just be like, okay, how stupid is this question? Like, what do you think he feels?
I got to agree with you on the fact that when it's not Renee Young and when it's, I don't know, really, Renee Young to me is the best. I think there's a reason ESPN wanted her because she just legitimately seems like she's asking questions that matter, whereas everybody else is just kind of asking same old hat. You almost ignore them. Let's be honest. You almost ignore anyone else who does those backstage interviews. You're just like, listen to the wrestler. I think the only one you don't is Renee Young.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, and I don't know if you've ever heard her before she came to WWE and they made her, get a speech therapist and whatever. She sounded really, really Canadian. So
that's hilarious. I bet. Hey,
that's God.
God bless you, Gary.
Anyway. We pissed off Canadians. I'm sorry. So, we have Neville and the Lucha Dragons, which I guess is the new six. Maybe WWE needs to come up with their own 6-man titles. Neville and the Lucha Dragons would be like the perfect team for that. They seem to be like on all the shows as a 6-man group, going against the New Day. I thought this was good. It was fun. Hopefully they do something with Kalisto involving that U.S. title pretty soon. It kind of seems kind of dumb to make him hold it, and he's not going to do anything with it. But you've got 5 weeks, so it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it is probably the best way. This is a really fun match. Probably the best match on Raw, in my opinion. But I wish they would make Kalisto feel more than like a fluke at this point. Because he's beaten Del Rio a couple times, but he doesn't feel like a champion. You know, he feels like guy holding belt.
I can't thank you enough for saying that, Paul, because it's the truth. And I really, really want Kalisto to do well. I think the guy could go to different levels if, maybe he's allowed to, or maybe he has a little bit more into it. But that's the way I feel. I want him to be the next Rey Mysterio. Will he be? Probably not, but I really want him to be. And I want him to feel like a champion. And right now, you're right. He just feels like he's a placeholder. He's a coaster for that U.S. title, and I don't like that. I want him to be presented as a champion. I want him to maybe not have many Lucha Dragon matches. Maybe take a break from that. So
he's a coaster for that.
Yeah.
Nice. So, then you go on to. They do have Charlotte come out, and this is after. Who has the match here? I can't remember. Is it Becky or it's Sasha against Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
And Naomi tapped to the bank statement, and then they did the whole Becky Lynch coming out to take out Tamina, and then Charlotte came out and was like, well, I was just told by the authority that you two are going to have some kind of normal contenders match, and then on SmackDown they announced that it's going to be the next Raw here after Becky Lynch beat Natalya. So I thought Charlotte looked good here. She kind of tried to bait them into it with like, oh, watch out, kind of like somebody's going to jump you, whichever one it is. At least Charlotte, she still sounds like a robot, but she seems to be getting the microphone work down.
Yeah, so she's doing a little bit better. You're right, and I think that she's got a ways to go. But I mean, at least I kind of enjoy her character as a heel right now. I think it's just fine. The one person that I don't have any worries about, but I'm just kind of curious. I don't know. I just have my concerns. Sasha Banks is great. She's got the talent. She's got everything. But right now, at this point, you're just kind of like ho-hum on her. At least I am. I kind of hope they can get her strictly as just a heel and just let her do that. She's just so good at that. Right now, in this gray area where she's got a friend in Becky, but she is not going to be a friend in Becky, it's weird.
Well, on SmackDown, they try to do the same thing, and they kind of just jaw-jacked with each other from a distance, kind of like, oh, I'm going to be a champion, no, you're going to be champion, whatever. Paul, doesn't this still seem like the way they're having Charlotte be really confident, this is all set up so that it's still going to be a triple threat?
Absolutely, it's still going to be a triple threat. And to touch on Gary's point again, like, they don't... It's amazing how over Sasha is on the main roster because you wouldn't know anything about her character because I can't remember more than 2 promos that she's cut since she's got called up.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right.
Yeah, the way she's the boss is by the Titantron.
That's it.
That's the only thing she's a boss.
And her ring. Her word rings that she has.
Oh, yeah.
If you pay attention to it, yes, you're right. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. And you're right, Paul. If you don't know anything about her, never watch NXT, you're just kind of like, who? Okay, that that girl with the hair. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. Like, I mean, give Becky credit because I think she's blossomed out of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Out of this. So I think, that's what was so funny is when they first got on the roster, we said, oh, God, look what they're doing with Becky. They're, it just sounded like the beginning of that Sir Mix-a-Lot video. I guess when Bayley comes up to the roster, that would be more apropos. But, so now I just totally lost myself. Anyway, we get to the point here with her is that they were making Becky do all the stupid puns and all that kind of stuff, making her look stupid. And then, we have Sasha get hurt, and all of a sudden they need Becky, and she gets serious, and it's like, oh, wow, she's she's really becoming something of her own, and I think out of the three, she's really shown a lot of character, and Charlotte's gotten to do a lot of her character, and I think her dad has helped her a lot by just kind of being there and not overtaking her. But then Sasha, like you guys said, is just kind of being left out there. It's really weird.
It is, and I think she's going to be fine. I don't want people to think that I'm saying she's downhill. She's not. No, she's going to be okay. Once she gets past this, once she maybe's the Divas champion, I think that's when you're going to get the real Sasha Banks. I think you're going to get to know more about her. I just don't like the way they have her built right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have time, of course, until WrestleMania to get to know Sasha if you don't know her, or to see maybe where she's at now. But I need to see some character growth on her because you guys nailed it. Becky and Charlotte have been able to show off who they are, what they can do, and Sasha's just pretty much gotten over by people screaming for her because of NXT so far.
Yeah, for sure. So I think aside from that, we had the Ryback. Yes, the Ryback decides in the middle of his match, which is a rematch from Fastlane, so you know the participants, because this is 50-50 WWE. This is the way the Wyatts win, guys, because Ryback decided to leave the match halfway through. Just doesn't this make you feel like the Wyatts just matter one iota? Just.
Oh, jeez.
And then go ahead.
All I'm going to say, I have no idea where the heck they're going with this at all. Because so far it's just 50-50 booking. And
the only thing I'm excited about with the Wyatts is that we're going to get Brock Lesnar and Luke Harper at that March 12th network special. That could be special, certainly. Mm-hmm. If they let Harper look like a big guy. It's just Ryback then cuts a promo afterwards, and he's like, "I'm just tired of being a tag team. I didn't know you were a tag team guy for eons here." Just.
Yeah. This is odd to me. I not only watching this did I feel like trash because the family had to win that way. Ryback says that. I'm like, I'm just so confused. You've only been in this tag team for what? I don't know, a month at the most. And you've been in tag teams before, but really, you're mainly a singles guy. So where are you coming up with this whole thing? Do it for yourself. You've been doing it for yourself for a long time, and I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. I don't know. This is kind of weird for me.
Yeah. Left field. Throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Other things, I like Ryback. I really want to see him succeed, and I'd be pissed too if I was supposed to be WWE champion at one time. But man, this is not good.
No bueno at all for Mr. Ryback. Aside from this, yeah, the Usos beat the Ascension. Who cares?
True.
And R-Truth and Goldust had more stuff. With R-Truth smashing a cake in Goldust's face after he told him he was above that. Be a star, Truth. Then Goldust helps R-Truth win a match on SmackDown. So there's progression, finally. R-Truth has a match against one of the social outcasts. Goldust comes out to kind of sort of even the odds from the shadows of ringside. And there's a spot where Goldust kind of just punches Heath Slater while he's on the apron. The referee doesn't see it. And Truth wins by a roll-up. And Truth, I guess, doesn't know that Goldust is the one that helped him. He kind of just magically thinks that he was able to push Slater over, but there seems to be hints of it. He kind of looks at Goldust and he's kind of thinking about it, but just it's whatever. That's subtlety, I guess, from them. So, whatever.
I never thought I'd see a day where Sean was pleasantly okay with a distraction roll-up.
Yeah,
But here we are, folks.
Milestone, baby.
The end times are coming.
The segment mattered so little that I guess I couldn't get mad about it.
This whole thing doesn't matter. But it's fun. I love both guys. I'm an R-Truth guy. Not always have been, but really right now I am an R-Truth fan. And I like Goldust. I always have. And so...
Except for the scary paint, right?
No, the paint's fine. I just think it's weird as a waiter. I mean, that would terrify me if my waiter came up in that. I'd be like, oh, Jesus, I got to get out of here. But, the real thing about this it's fun. It's nice. Comedy, great. But it almost makes you want to say, okay, let's get some progression here. And there's no progression. Let's get some progression. Hopefully what you said, Sean, on SmackDown that happened this week is progression.
Yeah, speaking of progression, I think the last major thing that happened here, speaking of Social Outcasts as well, you had more AJ and Jericho against the Social Outcasts. And, pretty much they beat the Social Outcasts after AJ pulled something you see in New Japan tag matches where he just goes and takes out the other guy. And then Jericho wins for the team. On SmackDown, they had AJ, Jericho, and Mark Henry go against the New Day, and AJ got the win for his team, making Xavier Woods tap out with the calf crusher. So they did have AJ and Jericho have a backstage segment where AJ is kind of like, or Jericho's like, oh man, this is why I really think this is all about Jericho turning heel eventually, because he keeps bringing up that whole, at one point I didn't like you, but now I do like you, and now we're a tag team, and, I've been tag team champion before, and, AJ's like, dude, this is why I'm here, I want to win titles and all this stuff, and even winning with you, it'd be cool, and then Mark Henry comes in, and they do a bit where, Mark Henry smacks AJ in the shoulder, and he's kind of like, dude, does Mark always hit that hard? And Jericho just had a handshake with Mark, and he's kind of like, oh, man, my hands are still hurting from Mark Henry giving me a handshake. So some comedy there with AJ, but do you really think they're going to have these two in that tag team schmoz, or do you think this is all a cover-up for a Jericho-AJ Ultimate No. 4 match at WrestleMania?
I'm okay with both, so I'm going to say I don't care.
You're really okay with AJ not having a singles match?
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate part would be him caught up in a tag match that probably isn't going to get a whole ton of time. But if it has them two in there, I would be okay with them winning the belts and then having that the tentative tag team champion story again with these two, just to see it.
You know what? I was going to say I'm very ho-hum on the Jericho Styles tag team, but I will say this. If it comes down to them in the New Day, I think that could be great. I think that could be interesting, and especially if they did take the titles off the New Day, that would be something I'd be really interested in seeing. But besides that, I'm kind of against it. I'm more of a 20-80, and 80 being AJ Styles being single. I just like him as a singles competitor, and I would really love to see it at WrestleMania, him have a singles match. But, it is what it is. I'm not going to cry. I just, I'd love to see him as a singles competitor.
Yeah, for sure. So, and we've talked about it, but I guess the only different news that we've heard here is that Nakamura has officially been signed. We might talk about this on Sunday. It's the part where it got cut off, sort of. The only thing we do know is he's getting paid main event level money, not millions, but main event level money to be in NXT for a while. And he did sign off on not keeping his music, but he obviously got to keep his name and the outfits. And he's working with CFO Money and Jim Johnston personally with the song. So at least the song will be something that he had a hand in and not just something that they do for him. So what do you feel? How do you feel about this whole, he's making obviously some big money, but him being in NXT for a while and not, maybe we don't see him on the WWE main roster for a bit.
The idea, I think, behind keeping him in NXT for a while is, one, he can instantly connect with a fan base who's already going to know who he is and will get loud chants and loud reactions no matter what he's doing. And two, it's a guy who has learned and performed in a style that is nowhere close to how WWE wants to do things. And NXT is a great bridge to get you there, and that is totally fine to put him there for a while. Because the guy grew up in the dojo in New Japan. He's wrestled in New Japan a lot, and every time he's come over here or anywhere else, it's always been in that indie style that is more akin to what he does than what the WWE does. So I'm fine with all this. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like when I was talking about in Quick Hits when we were kind of talking about this, I think it's, great to see that they did put the money and they invested in him and they know where he's going, and it's not staying in NXT. That's why he's getting paid way more than anybody in NXT. But the whole point in this thing is that this guy's got creative ability. They're going to allow him to do a lot more things than they would just allow anybody to do. So that shows that they want to invest in this guy, that they do care about where he's going to go and what he's going to do. So I think that's wonderful, and to me, it's surprising that they do show that much confidence. This is definitely got to be more of a Triple H thing. I just don't imagine Vince is jumping up and down excited about this guy. I think he's sitting back watching and to see what Triple H is actually working it with here.
Yeah, we do know he started on Monday as well after watching the that little video that they had for him. So that's cool for all those people.
And it's so neat too to see, of course, Tensai is in charge of, or Albert, whatever you want to call him. He's in charge of NXT right now, and it's so cool in the video to see him talk about Nakamura and the respect he has for him and just introducing him to people. I think that was kind of cool because, that's connection. These guys know each other, So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Finn talked about him really highly, saying, he knows him better, sometimes even more than he knows himself. He can count on him to tell him, if he's going to do something with his character that, Tensai will know what he's doing before he even thinks about it. So that's certainly, from all accounts, I don't think you could have a better staff there for NXT and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, did you want to say anything, Paul, before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I think we should just talk about this first because I think it'll be a little bit shorter conversation. But there's a few things in here that have riled up the internet one way or the other. The main event happened with the guy no one cares about and the guy the people just don't want to see be there, between Sheamus and Roman Reigns, or at least in the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. The match happened, and then Triple H came out looking like he's back in 2002 with the jacket and the jeans and all that stuff. And they go at it, and Triple H whacks him with a ring bell. The announcers don't say a word, which was weird. And then he proceeds to just smash Roman Reigns' head about 25 to 30 times into the announce desk. He gives him a pedigree on the steel steps. He gives him a crotch chop. Everything you could possibly do that is not heelish. And the fans at no moment ever cheer Roman Reigns. They boo him and yell one more time. And then a fan video comes out showing that Baron Saxton gave Roman Reigns something, and it was revealed later that it was a blood packet. So it was fake blood, even though, depending on who you read, Roman Reigns had a pre-existing nose issue, and he did have real surgery. But, a lot of people think that's fake too, so whatever. That's really not a big point in this. Even though it seems like they're taking him off TV because they know they're going to go through a rough patch of shows, even though Nashville is probably not the show you wanted to take him off of for next week. Probably wait till the week after when you go to Chicago. But it's whatever. So, how do you think that this is on? Is this on Triple H at all? Does this mean something for Roman Reigns? Like, if they don't turn him, he's going nowhere. And what do you think about the use of a blood packet in wrestling?
Okay, I'm not going to say this is on Triple H. I'm going to say this is on the complete failure of WWE's part to get Roman Reigns over as a face. Because when you're getting your butt handed to you by what is supposed to be the biggest heel in the company, they're not supposed to cheer him. And they're not supposed to beg for you to bleed more. That's a failure. The blood packet is cheap, but they don't want blading. They don't want real blood. So this is where you have to go, I guess, if you're going to go this route.
Isn't it safer for the wrestlers, though?
I mean, it is safe. Like, I don't... It's just, growing up in the time frame that we did, this is the biggest cop-out ever, you know? But in the time that we live in now, it makes a lot of sense. So, the deathmatch wrestling fan of me says, boo, you're cheating. The realist who understands where WWE is at now understands, you know?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Paul, and I understand that as well. And to me, it's a different era. Those old eras are gone. Those days have passed. There's a reason why things are different now. And really, honestly, it's to protect the talent. And that's fine with me. I'm okay with that because that means guys get a chance to stay around longer. I mean, heck, to be honest with you, I wish Daniel Bryan could have had that opportunity. He would still be wrestling to this day if he would have known some of these things and would have been able to make different decisions. And I think, hey, not making Roman blade or do anything like that, it's fine. It's, to me, yeah, it is what it is. You shouldn't have made it that blatant. I wish they would have had a different plan in place. We don't need announcers handing anybody anything. But,
I think that's hard, though, Gary. I mean, you're going to see people noticing that he's digging in his pants for something. He could easily drop it, and then it became seen on the floor. I think
near the stairs, under the ring. I think near the announce table, anywhere. Get thrown into the timekeeper's area. Maybe you see it there. Things like that. It can be hidden. I just think the handoff is too blatant. But that's just me. It is what it is. They got to.
But we gotta be fair. The only reason we saw it is because somebody was taking a video.
And that is true. That is exactly right. But this is the modern era.
Also in like you said, yeah. Sorry, you're right.
No, you're fine.
Modern era, WWE should understand that everything is probably going to be recorded.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you can't stop them because everybody has a phone.
Yep. That's exactly right. So, it's why we see athletes get in trouble all the time. It's called camera phones, right? And celebrities, everybody. So I know it's just one of those things. It's a pet peeve, but I have no problem with this. I think it's fine. I just, it's a different time period.
Yeah. What do you think about that main event angle, Gary? I think something can be said about, like, this is so weird the announcers didn't make a bigger deal about the ring bell shot. Like, if you think about it in the 80s, like, when Ricky Steamboat went through that thing with the ring bell, it was like a murder just happened.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody says anything. And then Triple H was really going with the crowd. He was doing his taunt and everything. Do you think maybe this could... I think WWE's going to... If something does happen, I think WWE's going to do just like they did with Daniel Bryan and act like they knew all along. Of perhaps you do a double turn at WrestleMania?
Yeah, there's a possibility of that, and I think the heel turn for Roman Reigns is great, and I've heard different scenarios. One scenario that I wouldn't mind, and of course, this is not going to help them at Mania. But the Raw after, it'd be awesome if he turned there. As champion, he comes in and maybe does something heinous and says, "Look, I didn't, have to do that." Or I don't know. There's different things, but I think you're right. I think a double turn would work too. I would not mind that. I just think Roman Reigns needs to turn heel. I don't care when it is. It could be on SmackDown next week.
I don't know. Like, I think you're sort of, because why would you want to turn Triple H face? I don't see the
well, that
goes
that goes to something we're going to talk about in a little bit here. But
okay.
The thing that I would sit there and say is that we know there's no. Do you think they can do anything to switch the crowd around before WrestleMania? I just think we're getting WrestleMania 22 all over again.
Before WrestleMania, no. In the long term, maybe.
What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with Paul on that. Really, honestly, you can't even put The Rock beside this guy right now and make him a fan favorite. It's just not going to happen. It's kind of proven. They proved it at the Royal Rumble not too long ago. So, I mean, I just think that they've got to fight, this thing out, do what they need to do, and get to a point where they get this guy over by getting him heel. That way, the fans can love to hate him. And then if you want him to be a babyface, he can always change. He can always turn from there. I'm sorry, they can't do what they did with John Cena and just keep him a face. It doesn't work. The fans are not with him right now. It's partly John Cena's fault why they're at where they're at right now, and that's because fans got so tired of Cena. Now they feel like this is the next Cena. So they've already turned on this guy before he even really started.
I don't think it's Cena's fault. It's WWE's fault for trying to book him in like 5 million different directions. That's not on John Cena for being who he is and for the fans.
Wrong set of words. You're right. I mean, let's say that way. It's the career WB built for John Cena, which is not Cena's fault. He's doing his job, but I don't know. I just think that WB kind of puts him in a bad situation, and they should have known when the fans reacted the way they did. You can't keep him going this way.
Well, I mean, look, Vince is stubborn, and that's the way he is. He wants his guy because we have to be honest here. We can't win all the time. If the fans win every single time, then there's kind of almost no point of Vince trying to have a plan, because anytime we shit on it, they're just gonna go, okay, it's whatever. I mean, yes, I guess in a way you say it is what they say, but we have to think about it like it hasn't always been like that.
It's interesting. I listened to Jim Ross's podcast this last Wednesday, and they were talking about this. Jim Ross and Mark Madden were talking about the fact that people don't give booking a chance. They just jump on whatever they don't like, and they don't allow the story to be told before they just hate it and they want to change it the way they want it changed. And that's the way this era is we're going to chant until we get our way. And I don't know. I can agree with that in a way. If I was the booker, I guess I would feel the same way. Hey guys, you don't know the end of the story. Let me tell the story before you hate it. But then again, on the other, I think it's almost, you need to listen to the fans. You should know that, hey, they hate this guy, so let's do something different.
I see your point, but Paul, isn't it also on Vince for not going? He's obviously changed the way that he books Roman Reigns, even to the effect that they had people cheering for him in Philadelphia at one point. But had you gone with the story the way you wanted to tell it all the way through, and not paid attention so much to what the crowd was doing and stopped switching it around based on ratings and whatever else, perhaps you get the effect you wanted?
I think that has been Roman Reigns' biggest attraction from getting over is uneven booking. And it's the problem that just plagues the WWE everywhere, is uneven booking. But I think you get a nice microcosm in Roman Reigns. You have times where they seem very much convinced that pushing him as the big badass is the way to go, and people want to cheer that, Roman Reigns. And then you have the seemingly plucky underdog role that he's in now, which nobody cares for. And you had
because he's not an underdog.
Exactly. And then you had the sort of cutesy, catchphrasey, rock wannabe Roman Reigns that everybody just dumped all over too. And you've had various iterations of where he's one or both or all three at the same time, and people just don't know what to do with that. So there seems to be one answer here, and the WWE refuses to pick one.
Yep, it's true. It's just, you know which one got you the, but it's just like they did it again, right? They go, oh, okay, well, Roman versus Sheamus worked before, and then people cheered him when he went against Triple H. Well, you know what? This is badass Triple H. They're not gonna hate on badass Triple H. You know, they're gonna love badass Triple H because that's the guy they remember, even though they hated him during the times where he was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was a face, when he first came back from his injury, they loved it, and I mean that's what they're gonna remember. And it's just, I think people just, I don't know, man. It's so weird with all that. But I think we've kind of gone through everything there. The other huge thing from the show, obviously, and I think I've waited till the end because it's the biggest talking point, and it's the one that has the most legs. Shane McMahon returns like a Jesus just returned on the planet Earth. I mean, that ovation that he got was absolutely insane. And I don't think even some wrestlers that have returned have gotten that kind of ovation. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of thought when I heard that pop, I was just thinking, is anyone else on this entire roster going to get that same pop tonight? And
then
no.
the chants afterwards, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, it took him 7 minutes before he could talk.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. You're right, and I just think it's something that people did not expect. They did a great job hiding it because I definitely didn't know about it until it actually happened. So I think you got to commend them for that. And people love this stuff. They love the nostalgia, and it's exciting.
What do you think, Paul?
The comparison to a prodigal son returning probably couldn't be more fitting. That one of the loudest reactions we've heard on WWE television in probably the last 5 to 10 years. Absolutely unbelievable.
It was crazy. A lot of people upset about that. Not wrestlers per se, but other people. And just, it seemed like a very unifying thing, the reaction to him returning. Of course, this is during the Vincent J. McMahon Excellence Award thing that Stephanie McMahon won, so it wasn't Triple H. And then before Stephanie can give her speech, here comes Shane, and they talk about business stuff. I don't think I ever remember WWE telling you straight up, hey guys, ratings are down. Hey guys, our stock went down, even though it was up that day. What was it, that all the injuries, those are Stephanie's fault, even though that's really unfair because that's not Stephanie's fault at all. But and then to go into the whole I made a deal so that you guys could I left, and then I have a deal with Dad, and all this stuff with Stephanie, and then Vince wanting to write him a check, and Shane or Vince wanting whatever's in the lock. There's a lockbox, guys. Just watch out for that. God, this is like the higher power thing all over again. And then, then we find out that, he wants control of Raw. And Vince doesn't want to give it to him, but he says, okay, if you want control of Raw, you got to have one match. And against The Undertaker. And Shane just no-sells it. And, hey, we have Shane and The Undertaker for WrestleMania inside a Hell in a Cell. Hope to God it's not like WrestleMania 15. More like WrestleMania 28. Well, we're going to get to see 2 Hell in a Cell matches. And the 2 times they've been to WrestleMania since then, Paul. I mean, I don't think I would have thought about that.
Well, I mean, I was right in thinking Hell in a Cell for WrestleMania could be a possibility. I just wasn't even close to the match. So, I guess I'll take partial credit for that one. I don't... This is flabbergasting. Like, Shane could die. Undertaker could die. They both could die.
Do you think the match is actually happening, though, Gary?
I mean, that's a good question because I wondered that myself. Just sitting there, and when I heard that announcement, sure, it's a great announcement. It's awesome. Everybody's excited. They think of all those great memories with Shane getting thrown around like a rag doll. But my issue with this is Taker's not a heel. Taker's a face. The way that crowd popped for Shane McMahon, and he's against the Authority, he's a face. What's the motivation for Taker to take this kid out? I don't
We'll find
see
that
it.
out on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, but that's where I'm going to go with it. If it's going to happen, there's going to have to be some legitimate feud here. But besides that, I don't know. I was kind of worried about this match from that point.
Do you think that they have somebody wrestle for Shane instead? Like John Cena, perhaps? That they're just waiting to see if Cena says, hey, I can do it. And then they change it.
Yeah, I could totally see. The idea of letting Shane pick somebody to sort of champion his cause is right up WWE's alley. And whether he has to, go through a match or something like that beforehand or something to get that right or privilege or whatever you want to call it is story for another time, but I absolutely could see it happening.
What about if Undertaker says, well, screw you, Vince. I don't want to wrestle. You're not going to tell me what to do. I don't want to wrestle for your side. And he kind of says, no, I want to see the company be different. I'm going to wrestle for Shane. And then you have to pick somebody else to go against Undertaker. And Undertaker is going for Shane instead. So that solves your Undertaker's a heel thing. Maybe Cena goes on Vince's side instead, or just someone else. I mean, I can't think right now, but
I think right now, your best option is you get to WrestleMania. People are like, "Oh man, Shane's gonna get killed," and then Shane comes out and says, "Look, they got to choose who they wanted for their side. I get a chance to choose myself who I want for my side. I'm not wrestling Undertaker, but I know someone who wants to." And then you hear Kurt Angle's music play.
Oh my God, that would be insane. I think you definitely could do that because once you got people's ticket, they can't really do anything. I mean, they can get mad and say, "Oh, I didn't get to see Shane wrestle, whatever." But as long as he's there in the match, I think just. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I wonder if the Mean Street Posse are going to show up.
Oh.
I think it's more along the lines of Taker is okay with the match, but he wants to fight somebody who's going to actually put up more of a fight than Shane will, and that's how they'll dance around it being Shane.
They got to, and that's one other thing. I kept thinking to myself, okay, is Taker really cool with this? Does he really want to fight Shane? I just don't imagine it, especially with his career running out. Now, I mean, you could always put some equalizers in there for him, like have Linda at ringside, and she could low blow Taker and things like that.
Do you think? Yeah, no. I wonder if we're going to see Linda. WrestleMania 2000 all over again. McMahon in every corner, guys. So, what about I think this is I don't think this is going to be one of those things where, like they have done it in the past where it was at the WrestleMania we were at. They had the stupid Raw versus SmackDown thing where Laurinaitis won and he became the GM of Raw and SmackDown. I don't think you can have something this big. I think this might be the main event. Especially the way that Roman is getting reactions right now. You make this the main event of your show. This is for the company.
I think it depends on who the other person is. Because Shane versus Undertaker is not main event.
I know,
Either
but
way,
maybe you don't make it the main event until that day. You really can't change anything. It's not going to make people not walk in the door. I mean,
either way, WWE Championship should always main event WrestleMania, no matter how effed up you've made the story.
Yeah, I mean, that confetti is going to fall, and I think that's why you got to have the title as the main event, like Paul's saying here. But I agree, Sean. I kind of sometimes think, well, maybe it shouldn't be.
Well, what I would say to this is that, okay, I'm going to give total credit to Todd Martin of The Torch for this. I just think it's something worth talking about because it's a cool idea that maybe doesn't happen. But you have... Now, think about it like this. We haven't talked about this part of the possibility of Shane yet, but you have Triple H and Roman be in the middle of the show somewhere. Triple H retains his title. Then you have whatever they decide to do, whether it's Undertaker fights for Shane or Undertaker stays on Vince's side, because we still don't know where this is going to be at. Do they turn Shane at some point? Do they do something? If you're worried about that whole Undertaker's obviously not going to get booed in Texas. It's not going to happen. Even though most people that are going to be there are not probably from Texas at all, but still, you're not going to get Undertaker get booed. Even though it doesn't mean that we won't get like dual chants, stuff like that. But you could have maybe Roman Reigns be Shane's guy. And Roman Reigns still ends the night winning. He beats Undertaker and turns that way. I don't know. And the point with mine about Triple H is something we haven't talked about, is this big thing about people saying this means we're having another brand extension. What do you think about a brand extension again? With Shane running Raw and whoever, hopefully it's, and Triple H bringing up NXT guys running SmackDown.
I don't think there's enough star power to run two brands. I just don't. And they can barely book one show cohesively, let alone let's try splitting them up and booking two. I'm not interested.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not really into the split either. I've kind of become accustomed to being away from that again, and so I just don't think that I would like that as much. I get that Shane would be good to have around, but that's the biggest question: is he going to be around? Is he going to be a guy?
I think he is going to be around.
Okay, so that's the question, as well as, from what we're hearing and from what I've heard too, is the fact that, this whole feud between him and Stephanie and Vince is very real at times. You're getting a little bit of shades of reality here, that really Vince made the decision that really it was going to be Triple H and Stephanie that moved forward and they were going to take the company. Shane didn't like it so much and took his ball and went home for a little while.
Because he's terrible at making creative decisions.
Exactly. You're totally right on that. So that's part of that decision making. So when it comes to, him being around again, it makes you wonder, is this going to be a short-term thing? Is it going to be a long-term thing? You're saying it's going to be a long-term thing, and I'm okay with that. But I don't know. I just don't like the extension.
I just don't see you bring... I mean, you could do it. You could say... Okay, Shane wins control of Raw, and now he's this face GM of Raw, and that's all it is. And the others, but I feel like, we've seen this now with the network. USA is pushing SmackDown hard. They had Triple H on SmackDown. He cut a really, really good promo on SmackDown. One of his, trademark things to start the show. In the suit. Going through his whole spiel and ended it with "I'm the game" and all this stuff. And just they had Brock on SmackDown. They've had they've kind of sort of made it the AJ and Jericho show for a while at times. I mean, just they're pushing that, and it's on the same network now. It's not like you have to go switch over to Sci-Fi and remember that it's on Sci-Fi. So the whole it being a brand split wouldn't be so hard, and you don't have to worry about the whole thing with the pay-per-views like you did before, because it's all on the network now. And so if they wanted to do it, it would be easier from a logistical standpoint. But like you guys brought up the whole thing about the roster. Do they have enough guys? Can they book it? If they let Triple H book it or let somebody else in his stead. You let Brad Ward do NXT by himself or whatever it is, and let, Triple H kind of do SmackDown with some people and whatever, who knows? It's weird because it's still going to be the same people running it behind the scenes, so you have to wonder how much of an impact the branding situation would have anyway. Like you brought up that thing about Shane, whether he stays or goes, and do you think that this is a WrestleMania thing? This was apparently made a month ago between him and Shane. It could still be a placeholder for Cena because he really wants to have that Cena-Undertaker match. Do you see him? Apparently his company in China is not doing that great. And he is no longer the top guy there. He's about the third rung. He's like the vice president. Or the vice chairman or whatever, and he's still on the board of directors. So he could be coming back as a way because that company's not doing great. And the one thing that he was big at was the internet. He was around when they first introduced WWE.com. Remember he wanted to have ECW be on the internet at first, and Vince said no, and they made the deal with Sci-Fi. So, like, he could come and try to, because he tried to do pay-per-view and on-demand for China, so what if he comes in and tries to, be the guy that kind of controls the network or whatever? And that's his job. And he kind of stays away from Triple H and Stephanie or whatever. But do you see this as, like, Shane coming home and this is what he's doing? Or it's a WrestleMania thing and then he's gone? And he just... Let's say maybe Daniel Bryan becomes the face GM of Raw or something.
I think that he is very much here to stick around on a television role. And if he happens to get back into the business side of things, great. I know he still has a role in his in the company in China that he's working for or owns or wherever he's at in that company now, but I don't see why he couldn't be a on-screen and a welcome break from all the authority mess.
I'm like I said before, I'm totally great with him being around. I think that Shane definitely adds a new mixture. He's something that's not stagnant because the authority has been stagnant. It's been there. It's worked okay, but this is a new layer. This is something that people can get excited about. We've talked about this, and I've 100,000 other podcasts that talk wrestling have talked about this as, maybe you need to have a commissioner, you need to have somebody, a new GM or somebody that can kind of counteract the authority. And right now, this is the guy. It's not Mick Foley. It's not, anybody else. It's this guy that we haven't seen in a long time. And people can actually get behind and feel like that he's got a new path. Now, whether that's just on screen or whether that's behind the scenes or whatever, I just think that this is positive. But, who knows? I mean, I just hope the best for Shane. I think that this guy has something to offer. You already talked about it, Sean, that, He planned on doing something on the internet. He got them on the internet. He did all these different things. This guy may
remember
have
he tried to get WWE to buy UFC at one point. Tried to get him to buy Pride, Strikeforce, whatever, just so he could have his own thing that he could try to run. But Vince never did any of those things. So
exactly. So I mean, he kind of has been ahead of his time, and maybe he can help them in other ways now. Maybe he doesn't have to run creative. Maybe if he understands a role, or maybe he can go in a different path and help the company. That's going to be helpful.
Yeah, I don't think he's a creative, that kind of person. You know, he seems more like the business person. You know, that whole adage of Stephanie's more like Vince and Shane's more like Linda has always seemed to kind of appropriate for them. What did you guys think of the promo itself? Obviously, a lot of felt very real, especially the part with the whole the kids and him having the boys and Stephanie having the girls. You know, the whole, I'm going to have the real McMahons, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I thought that was kind of like, okay, we're just really getting into this, aren't we? What did you guys think of the whole thing?
I really enjoyed it. This is an opening segment that I totally didn't mind it being a talking segment for, because it was lively, it kept you interested. You had to, like, once Shane's music came on, you were hooked. It didn't matter.
Minutes.
Didn't mind it at all.
That's crazy. We would have ever thought 30-minute promo segment, we're all good.
Yeah, that's true. But like I said, 7 to 10 minutes of that was the crowd chanting and doing things like that with Shane trying to talk. But still, I think it was a great way to start the show, especially with a big surprise like Shane. And I love the fact that we were touching on reality, because once again, some of the stuff that they're talking about is really the way Shane feels. Some of the thought processes that he's had behind the scenes have come out here. So I like that. I like the fact that Vince, you know, worked well with this. I think this is one of his better parts of being on Raw.
The whole Shane would not accept the hug thing. Thought that was really good.
Or the handshake.
Yes.
He did accept the F-bomb.
Yes.
That's about it.
The edgier Raw that we're going to supposedly get now, with F-bombs and blood packets everywhere.
Yeah. Attitude Era Light, maybe? I don't know. But, you know...
I could go without that.
Yeah, me too. But, no, I just think this was a great success with Shane. And, you know, like I said, I did enjoy the kind of the shades of reality here.
Wouldn't you say, Paul, that like just having curse words and blood is not really what makes your project edgy? You need more things than that.
It makes your product mature. I don't think it makes your product edgier. Honest to God, an edgy product for the WWE might be a whole 3-hour show I wouldn't hate.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, we pretty much dug through this show. This was certainly one of the better Raws in a while. Justin, certainly noteworthy. Hell, we talked a hell of a lot about it. What are you looking at for a grade? I mean, not everything was spot on, but, you know.
You know, the majority of the show was dedicated to the McMahon saga continuing onwards. Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar I really enjoyed. I was fine with the Diva stuff. Styles, Jericho also good. And, you know, the 6-man tag was awesome too. That's a good portion of the show that I enjoyed. I'm looking 7.5.
I'm a little bit surprised that I'm going to be above Paul. I'm usually the guy that kind of rates a little bit lower maybe at times. I'm going 8. I think that everything Paul said, you know, the way he described it is kind of the way I feel as well. I think the big surprise would make me almost borderline going 8.5, but I can't do that just quite yet. Even Roman Reigns in a bloody pull of his, you know, fake blood, I can't even go that far. But I really enjoyed the show. I think, you know, it was a Raw that was a nice breath of fresh air. We kind of got some direction where WrestleMania is going to go, you know, in the home stretch to WrestleMania. And I really, you know, like I said, The only thing that could make me push up to a 9 or 10 is Ken Shamrock. So,
Of course. Of course.
God. Okay.
when he
stands
shows
to
up,
reason.
when he shows up one day, guys, you're gonna get that big rating.
Yeah, he'll be part of the huge, because you know that thing is going to be even more overbooked than Sting Triple H. Even if it is Cena or somebody else wrestling for Shane. I mean, anybody could show up. Jeez. But what do you say to the people that are upset that Shane is taking a spot away from somebody else? That is another McMahon coming in to take a big spot.
Normally, I am all about taking up that fight. On this day, at this point in time, who the hell else does WWE have to throw out the Undertaker?
Yeah, because I certainly as hell didn't want it to be Goldberg.
That's just wrong, Sean. I'm offended. But
Oh, come on, Gary.
I at least love Goldberg.
Goldberg could spear Undertaker and break his back or something. You know,
it's more likely that he spears Undertaker and breaks his own. But the way I look at it is, there isn't much talent that you could really put up there and make it a big, great show that people are excited about. 100,000 plus. You've got to fill the stadium. You've got to have reasons for people to want to watch the show. And your younger talent's great, but you've got to have something that dazzles people, something that gets people interested. And Shane's what does it. I mean, I'm sorry. You can bring up you can have Cesaro. Let's say Cesaro is healthy. People love Cesaro, but I'm not sold that Cesaro versus Undertaker is going to get people.
Well, from a wrestling standpoint,
yeah,
I'm all over Cesaro versus The Undertaker.
But you are. But let's talk about the casual guy who's kind of like,
certainly.
So that's my point. I mean, the 100,000 people is, you're going to have a big portion of that crowd.
If they get 100,000 people.
Yeah. So my point being, long story short, I think you've got to have those big names. What are they going to say? Oh, Stephen Amell's taking someone's spot. Look, he's the guy that's going to get people interested in watching the show, maybe even coming to the show.
Yeah, certainly he'll get people to come to the show, and I think certainly people are going to order the network just like they did for SummerSlam. Don't know how much of a big percentage that's going to be, but it'll get some. Weird that we have not seen anything else with that either. But we'll have to see if it gets closer, if they do any more. That might be one of those things they only do outside of Raw or outside of SmackDown, and we kind of just get a match based off of that. That's interesting, different way to go. But yeah, I think pretty much we hit on everything here that we could possibly hit on.
Did you rate it?
I rated 8 as well.
8?
You guys kind of covered all the reasons to like the show or whatever. Just man, this is gonna be hard to live up to now. Going to the Raw because apparently Shane's scheduled for the one in Chicago, but not the one in Nashville right now. So.
Oh wow.
Well, Undertaker's going to be there next week, so I don't think he necessarily has to be there.
Yeah, I just know that somebody's got to kind of compound those Dixie chants. So, they got to have a big name. Guys, well, that is Monday Night Raw. We are going to move on, though, with this show. We've got plenty of other things to talk about. We don't want you to forget we're going to talk Ring of Honor 14th anniversary. That is going to be coming up soon. Plus, also, we're talking some Lucha Underground and TNA. But before we do all that, we've got to talk NXT. So we're going to do that right now.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Well, NXT, starting off, this is the next to last. Next week is the big show with the Neville and Finn Balor to determine who is the greatest NXT champion of all time, and of course the appearance of Austin Aries next week. So for sure, make sure you want to watch that one. But American Alpha against Blake and Murphy started this thing off, and certainly a colorful quintuple here between the Freddy Krueger pants and the multicolored outfits that American Alpha were wearing. But man, oh my God, Gable just tell you what, this guy can make anything look amazing. Just I don't think I've ever seen a tilt-a-whirl arm drag before, but Chad Gable makes it happen. Just this was a really fun, really great opener.
Fun is how I would also describe this too. It's not the best wrestling match you'll ever see, but it's another strong step forward in this tag division that continues to grow, continues to impress. American Alpha, what more can you say about it? Probably the best tag team in NXT right now. Better than Zoe and Cassidy, better than everybody else. Just number one.
Aside from New Day, you could possibly say best team in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I think you're right, but on the other hand, maybe not the most level team at times. I think there's a big reason why you see Gable in these matches a lot more prevalent, but that's okay. I think Jason Jordan's
the hot
great.
tag guy.
He is.
He works just fine. He shows personality just doing the hot tag.
Exactly, kind of like Enzo and Kaz. Let's be honest. Who's the main guy? It's going to be Kaz. So. It's fine. It's not. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I like him. I just think it's kind of funny because, sometimes you have a tag team that are equally as good, or maybe they both have the same amount of talent. Jason Jordan's great. He's a great young talent, but I think it's just Gable is so great. The guy has so much ability. It's hard not to put him in the spotlight.
And he has a charisma about it too.
Yeah.
He has star written all over him. It's just.
He sure does. I totally agree with that. I mean. We compare different wrestlers and different promotions, and I think he has a charisma about him that kind of reminds me when you see the Young Bucks and the way they just are free. That's the way I feel about this guy. I think he's free. I don't think he's too concerned about what people are saying. I think he just goes and has a great time.
Oh, well, and everybody's sitting there praising you up the wazoo. I don't think you have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you can say about the guy. If WWE misses the boat on Chad Gable, they are just idiots. What did you guys think of this Elias Sampson? I just thought it was funny. I was just kind of like, what the hell, man? Seriously? Like, why does he need to have his own vignette?
I fast forwarded through it.
Paul, why did you do that? Because I did too. Can't lie, I really did. Wow, Sean, you're the loner on this one. You have to tell us about it.
It's whatever. He sings a stupid song, and they do clips of him beating people up from the masses. It's whatever.
I would rather see clips of Billy Corgan.
Well, we got to see him later.
Later, Gary.
I know.
Yes, we do. He gets to. He admonishes Odarg. So Apollo Crews against the debuting Christopher Gerard, of course, Biff Busick. He hits Apollo with a nasty uppercut. Seems to kind of rock him a bit. Apollo Crews wins. Decent stuff for Mr. Gerard.
I enjoyed what they did here because they let Gerard sort of be this nasty, gruff, old school guy. Like he's pulling on Apollo's nose. There's this long chin lock that's sort of like he's just trying to wear him down so Apollo can't get going. The shot to the wow, just totally blanked there. Anyways, Gerard's gonna. I really liked his appearance here. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more that we see from him too, but Cruz is the guy right now,
Yeah, and I came into this match really expecting just a giant squash, and it wasn't at all. This kid Busick is a talent. He's got a different style. I like that. It's not just the same old same. Maybe more of a classic style, but let's be honest, that's kind of new now. Not many people stick with that for very long, and this guy kind of did. So I enjoyed it. Really, it really wasn't that bad, honestly.
Yeah. So Bailey pretty much knows Asuka's coming. Dash and Dawson attack Enzo in the parking lot, and then Big Cass comes to make the save there. There's just a camera that's kind of set, just kind of set there. I thought this was well done. There wasn't anything. Tommaso Ciampa smashes Bull Dempsey. Joe cuts one of his big promos before we get the main event here. I mean, just I liked it because it goes with what Dash and Dawson's style of just they want to beat you up, do what they got to do.
Don't really care when, where, how. They just want to beat people up, and that's why people love them.
Yeah, and this is fine. I mean, it continues the story. It makes sense because of the characters. So I'm okay with it. No big deal.
And then we get Bayley and Carmella against Eva Marie and Nia Jax as your main event. It goes about 9 minutes. And Eva Marie gets the pin to the boos of the crowd there.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd hated on them pretty hard, but I actually didn't think this was too bad a match. Eva didn't do a lot, thankfully, and it was mostly on the other three ladies, and admirably put on something that I think was well worth your time.
And I want to thank you, Marie, for not being in the ring as long, because we did have healthy people coming out of this match. Instead of injured, so. But I am okay with this match. It was just continuation of the story. I thought it was interesting that they had Eva or Eve or whatever her name is. Take the make sure she got the pin here. I just think so much of what we get out of Nia Jax. I think she's great. I'm looking forward to what she does in the future. So I just was kind of hoping that she'd get more of that shine. But I get why they did this. I totally do.
Yeah, that's NXT for you.
All right, guys. Well, we have some other things we're going to talk about on this show. And, of course, like I told you earlier, we are going to definitely jump into some other big topics. But, one thing that we're going to do here, and it's going to be kind of an interesting segment because it's going to include not only the pay-per-view we got coming up here, the 14th anniversary show, but we're also going to talk some Honor Rising and some other things with Ring of Honor. But hey, we can't start this segment out without the Ring of Honor music, so let's go ahead and hit that. All right, guys. Well, I didn't really get a chance to watch Honor Rising. So this kind of really does build up to what we're going to get at the 14th anniversary show. And I think we really probably should start that out here. So, I know, Sean, I know you watched this pretty in-depth, and I know Paul got a chance to watch some of this stuff. So can you kind of give us some of the highlights and kind of lead us to this 14th anniversary show?
Well, I mean, I wrote reviews for both these shows. You can find them on Last Word on Sports if you go over there, or in the Facebook group if you're a member. If you're not, www.com, Facebook. I'm terrible today. Facebook.com/groups/Wrestling to the Max. Just click join group. One of us will add you, and you can go scroll through and find the reviews there too. I kind of already gave my piece on this. Anything from that night one, I mean, obviously Ishii and Strong was the big part of that. That has to do with the anniversary show. But anything from that night that kind of stood out to you?
So obviously, yes. Don't skip on Ishii and Strong. It's a very good, solid 20 minutes. With the surprise finish. Moose being over in Japan is the most shocking thing I've probably took away from these shows. That crowd loved him. They did the whole Moose gimmick with him and everything, shocked beyond belief. And Moose performed really, really well on these two shows too. Let's not take that away from him either.
Certainly. I think so. I think I agree with you on that. To the point where Tanahashi was stealing his his fist pump, and they were chanting Ace.
Yes.
Fist pump. I wonder how Okada feels about all that. It's still funny. They don't let it go, even though he let it go himself. I felt bad for. I thought Kazarian got put in. Obviously, Adam Cole should have been the one in there with Dalton Castle. I still thought he and Kazarian had a pretty good match. Him and Kushida, I really wasn't that big a deal to me. But I thought he did okay for what he was being asked to do. And Dalton Castle was another one that, by the second night, they seemed to gravitate to him more, especially with Taguchi coming out with his own peacock. So, it's just...
The thing that I think really draws that crowd to Dalton is that Nakamura's gone, but you got this guy who's equally going for the same sort of gimmick, just in a much more blatant way, I feel.
Yeah, certainly. He was just so good. And then the great thing, obviously, that we always point out is that he can wrestle too. He's not just out there doing a gimmick. So he gets to bring out the strong stuff and the wrestling part, which makes him stand out. Elgin, of course, who I guess technically he's not an ROH guy anymore, but he was tremendous on both of these again. Just that dude is, I don't know, man. Kurikan, obviously, a different crowd, but he is beloved already. Just whatever he does, they get crazy for. And he got the pin and the tag in the second night, I think. So, certainly things happening for him. Of course, Kenny Omega and the Bucks won the 6-man titles, which are also going to be defended on that ROH show. Beating Yano and the Briscoes. I totally saw that coming when I saw it. Kind of made sense. Now Omega's double champion. I think this is something that I hope they don't switch him back, because the match quality can certainly go up now with these three having it.
And the fun part is that seeing as these belts are open weights, you can have these odd combinations coming at you from everywhere, with both juniors and heavyweights mixing it up and all this fun stuff. So the match on the second night I really enjoy. It's a fun 13-minute sprint towards the end. But I completely agree with you. Leaving him on these three for a couple of months will certainly help establish these belts as something you want to watch out for.
And and we also had a storyline that Gary will probably care a lot about. So the first night, it was Lethal and Naito against was it
Okada and Yoshihashi?
Okay, it was Okada and Yoshihashi, and Yoshihashi gets pinned, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And Naito's handed the Book of Truth, and he looks very excited that he has these flipping through. And, in his own way of showing that he's excited. And then at the end of night 2, you have Lethal and Hama for the ROH title. And I thought they were having a pretty good match until all the interference, and then I kind of it pulled me out of it. But the end result is that Truth and Lethal are now part of Los Ingobernables de Japón, Gary. So they're all together in the stable. And I thought Naito cut a strong promo, kind of introducing the fact that they're in it now. So, hey, Naito and Lethal got to stand tall at the end of the show.
I love it. This is great. This is the best scenario, if you ask me. I was looking forward to seeing what would happen here, and I kind of had my concerns, but I thought, well, would they really let Lethal take the loss here? Naito, I could see him doing something with him, making him take but no, this is great. And I like this team.
I mean, worth it alone. The night 1 shenanigans the two had were brilliant. really all you needed right there. And then making it official on night 2, of course, was good fun. I don't know why Lethal could have gone over clean on Hanma. It's not like it would have mattered all that much, but if this is where we're going and this is going somewhere for both promotions, then I'm totally for it.
Yeah, I mean, that stable does need to grow a bit, and it always doesn't have to, we had that with, Bullet Club technically has stupid Chase Owens in it, so, I mean, it's just, wherever their deal with NWA is at this point, because we have heard nothing about, thankfully, because we could probably just keep that off there, but, it's good. When you have different guys in there, they can show up, and you never know, maybe Naito shows up on a random ROH show or something sometimes. I mean, we already have Naito goes down to CMLL sometimes, so that's, I'm always for that kind of thing. Then they really established, I think, that Omega and the Bucks are the elite of the Bullet Club, then you kind of have the rest of them. So I think they're really going with that, and that's good. I'm glad they're kind of letting them have that and making that a big deal. So, that all benefits there. And, yeah, I mean, obviously the most surprising thing is Ishii being ROH TV champion right now. And he said in a promo, well, if the ROH TV champion is that weak, then there's nobody going to be beating me. Then I'll just take on anybody. It doesn't matter where. Only Ishii can get away with saying that Roderick Strong is weak. So that leads into this that really doesn't. The ROH way of doing TV tapings usually leads them into this thing of the supposed go home show doesn't always feel like a go home show.
Right. And what Sean is talking about is the leadoff match here with Roderick Strong defending the television title against Jonathan Gresham. And admittedly, a very, very good and strong match. It goes about 9 minutes. Strong ends up retaining a championship. Obviously, he doesn't have it in his possession anymore. But he ends up putting Gresham away with a knee strike. Very solid match, though.
Yeah, it was very solid, and I both these guys put on a heck of a match. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and Gresham, man, I'm very impressed by him. I really am. I like this guy a lot. Even, some of his mannerisms outside of just being a wrestler, his interaction with Veda Scott, things like that, that was kind of cool too. I have to admit, I didn't hate that at all.
Yeah. Very true. And then post-match, we had Bobby Fish come in and attack Strong, and they push their match for the television title pretty hard for the pay-per-view this Friday, which, of course, just makes them look all manner of silly.
Yeah, I hate thinking that way. It sounds like I hate Bobby Fish. I don't hate the guy, but I just think it's so corny. I just do, man. I don't know why. I just feel that way.
Yeah. Which is now a triple threat involving Tomohiro Ishii. So it's gonna even be a better match now. Maybe not so hokey, Gary.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, now with 2,000% more headbutts in that match.
To the throat, you might add.
Oh God, those poor guys. Next up, we have a match between War Machine, pretty much squashing Bob Evans and Tim Hughes. A&X come out after the match, cut a promo about being the real tag team champions since they technically never lost them. And, man, they're just really trying to sell this match, and I'm just kind of meh about it.
Yeah, I am a fan of the All Night Express. I'm Kenny King doing great. Enjoyed the promo. It's nice to hear him get on the mic again. I don't dislike him at all on the mic, actually.
Here he is calling in. Hold on. Hello, Mr. Broadhurst. How are you doing?
Greetings.
Hey. What's going on, Harry?
Not much. Just saw that you guys were on the air, and I figured I'd call in.
Yeah, man. We are just sitting here talking some Ring of Honor, but is there anything you wanted to bring up? Anything you were kind of wanting to chat about?
Oh, wow. I'm really calling in late. I'm actually looking forward to the anniversary show. I'm thinking about actually ordering it on on Time Warner pay-per-view tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're going to do the same.
We already have the order in there. So we got it on the website so the three of us could watch it, so but I mean anything you do want to talk about, whether it is that or Raw or whatever.
Well, I noticed that you guys had a couple conversation pieces that you listed in the actual discussion page for the W2M Facebook page as well as on the Yes page. And a couple of them intrigued me, so I wanted to discuss a few of them. But if you guys are in the middle of discussing ROH, I can hang around and then discuss it afterwards.
Oh, no, man. It's okay. Go ahead.
All right. As you may or may not be aware of, I didn't do the reaction on Monday due to the fact that I had a very early morning doctor's appointment on Tuesday due to some personal health issues I've been dealing with. So I wasn't able to do the reaction, so I wasn't able to give my full thoughts on what went down on Raw. And a couple of things that stood out about me. Dare I say Shane McMahon out-popped AJ Styles?
Are you kidding me? Like maybe 2 to 3 times? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I saw a Facebook post earlier in the day before I was still online that said something along the lines of what a crazy 2 months it's been in the WWE already. What was it? Triple H is the heavyweight champion. Austin Aries and Shinsuke Nakamura are in NXT. Daniel Bryan's retired, and Shane McMahon has returned, and that's all within the first 2 months of 2016, which means we're just heading for a crazy year in professional wrestling, specifically in the main company of the WWE.
Oh, agreed. And, who would have ever thought that scenario would ever take place? I sure wouldn't. If you would have told me this last year, I kind of would have chuckled and said, what kind of fantasy booking are you doing?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that have already happened that I never honestly thought we would see AJ Styles in the WWE ring.
Amen.
Just because he doesn't strike you as that prototypical WWE athlete. I could have seen him in NXT, and especially with the reputation NXT was getting, I could have definitely seen him in NXT. But let's be honest here, a guy like Vince usually isn't going to put somebody 5'8" and 212 pounds on the main roster.
You're right about that, unless he's desperate and needs star power, and he needs something.
All right, so that kind of takes me into the discussion point of Shane McMahon and Taker and Hell in a Cell. I didn't get a chance to hear your guys' take on that. Could you reiterate them real quick for me?
Oh boy, we probably talked for about 45 minutes about all the stuff with Shane McMahon. Just go ahead and give your thoughts, man.
Do you actually think the match is going to occur? I don't.
No.
I think we're all very much in the same camp of we're not committing to that match on paper. Card is subject to change, as it were.
Yeah, and I'm praying that Kurt Angle would be the replacement.
I don't think Kurt Angle could pass a wellness test at this point in his life. Yeah, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that from like drugs and stuff. I mean that just because of, didn't he just recently suffer another concussion in TNA?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah, you're maybe right.
I think it's in that match that we just watched. It was either in this one or the one against Galloway.
I think it's the one against Galloway that just aired on Tuesday.
Dr. Maroon, you're taking all my dreams away.
Well,
but did you guys give your thoughts as to who you think might be the guy that takes Shane McMahon's spot?
We went around with Cena, and I said that maybe Undertaker just switches sides for the better of the company. Those were the only two I think that we really... Oh, and maybe Roman Reigns, if they don't have that be the main event. But those are the only three that we discussed.
I'm hearing a name swirled around, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. What are the possibilities that, because I know he's been in conversations with the WWE lately, what are the possibilities that it ends up being Bill Goldberg?
Oh, God, I hope not.
You know, I was a big Bill Goldberg fan, and I don't know if I'm really all that interested in seeing that. I just don't know that anyone else, and especially there's a new generation that I don't think understand or know really who this guy is now. They'd have to go back and watch the network to figure that out.
I just don't want to see somebody that's going to be there for a cup of coffee and maybe the Raw after, and then he's gone, and he's the guy that helped beat Taker. I'd rather it be somebody that's on the roster, or at least if you're going to pick somebody not on the main roster, you can maybe use, if you wanted to bring Finn and then you bring the Balor Club in or something like that, I'd be totally fine with that, but not Goldberg.
There was somebody on the Yes Wrestling page that the entire time Shane was back that was mentioning the fact that he's probably bringing the Bullet Club with him at WrestleMania.
Ooh, that'd be pretty neat, honestly.
Larry over at 411 also says the same. Thinks it's Finn.
And by the way, it may not be Balor Club, but they're hinting that they may be actually changing to Bulletproof as being the name.
Terrible name.
That also ties into one other name that I wanted to toss out for you guys and get your take on here. I know he's always said that there wouldn't be another one, but it is Texas, it is WrestleMania, and they've been asking for one more match from Steve Austin for a really long time. And obviously Austin trusts Taker.
I see special referee, not the match.
From everything I've heard, Jim Ross, everyone else is close to him. Even Steve Austin himself said he's not getting back in the ring. So I'm going to go with that and believe that. But it would be great, and I would love it. But I just don't think that's even a possibility.
I just say never when it comes to that kind of stuff. I mean, who honestly thought we'd see Shane back in the WWE at all?
Yeah. I mean, it just have to make sense.
And apparently up until a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't even in the mindset until Vince was worried that apparently Cena and Taker was in trouble due to Cena's injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to touch on with you guys, and I know you mentioned that you were going to discuss this in here, is the use of the blood packet in the main event. And I wanted to give my thoughts on that real quick, if you guys didn't mind, and I wanted to kind of get you guys in a discussion about it. I'm actually okay with it, and here's why. I understand that you're going to get the criticism of using stage blood and, the whole stigma that goes along with it. Oh, well, it's how can it be real if they're not using real blood? You also have to remember that Nigel McGuinness has been crusading against the use of blood in professional wrestling because of things like blood-borne pathogens as well as blood-contracted diseases and stuff like that, and just sanitary conditions that make it unsafe for workers to bleed inside of a ring these days. I mean, look at the independent scare with hepatitis C. Look at everything that's gone down with guys like deathmatch workers like J.C. Bailey and brain damage from multiple times bleeding and stuff, eventually leading to the end of their lives. So I'm actually okay with the use of blood packets. I want to get your guys' thoughts again.
From my personal advantage, and these guys will probably have their own, but my take on it was this is entertainment, and it's obvious. It's in the name of the company, so this makes sense. For all the reasons you just mentioned, Harry, plus, there's no reason for these guys to gig themselves, especially when they're, on this stage. Now, I can't say that for any other, stages. That's not their decision. But on this stage, I definitely understand the blood packet.
The wrestling fan that I am in the now completely understands it. The deathmatch wrestling fan that still exists inside of me thinks it's a cheap way out.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Sean.
I'm in a group with guys that have worked in various capacities or whatever, and we were all talking about it, and even they kind of agreed. Look, different time. These guys it's a different world out there. We had too many incidents of people getting diseases and. Not just that, it's just bad for them. Like, I really don't want to see guys look like Flair anymore. Or Dusty, or Abdullah is terrible. I mean, that's terrible. Like, do you really want to see guys that have their heads all cut up and stuff like that when they're older? It's just horrible. It's better for them. who cares? Especially in WWE, like I really don't care. They're already a show as it is. I'd just rather prefer they don't even use it at all. But whatever.
Well, I think under certain aspects of the story, it helps tell the story better. At the same time, I think if you're going to go this route, if you're going to go the route of using blood to tell stories here, you're going to have to bring back some of the more dangerous aspects of professional wrestling in the WWE, and I don't necessarily know that that's a good idea. I think chair shots need to be banned in professional wrestling, period.
Well, I don't think you have to have used chair shots, but they still let them do other things to the head that are not as potentially dangerous. You can do that with a ladder. You can do it with any other thing. Triple H did it with the banging his head against the table. I mean, so you can do it with the steps.
Right, and I mean under general, and we saw the steps being used at the tail end there with the pedigree on the steps that actually looked really nice. I thought that was a really nice camera angle for that because it looked like it made full contact there, and I give them credit for the camera angle that it shows as well as Reigns' commitment to taking that bump there. I think Reigns gets kind of a bum rap from fans, honestly, because any time that he's been called upon to step up, he has, even if creative hasn't done him any favors.
The thing is, it's not about his work. I don't think anybody is saying that about. There's people that say it's about his work, but that's very few. I think the most part is the exterior things outside of his work, because definitely he has improved. And I know you guys can agree with me on that it's other things. And yes, it is creative, but it's also on Roman Reigns. I think in that way, he sometimes gets lost. You don't have to have the facial expressions that you have at times. Like you don't have to smirk about everything. That upsets me sometimes too. It's just you can show another emotion besides your smirking, and that might tell a different story that gets things over much better than you doing what you normally do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Sean, and that's the thing. I mean, we've all talked about it. If we just had Roman be that tough guy that says a few words and moves on, that would get over with the crowd. The crowd just does not need to see a guy that's trying to be like a John Cena. I don't think they need that. They already have a John Cena. They need a guy that's tough. They need a guy they can get behind. And right now, he's too much of a cartoon.
I honestly feel like Roman Reigns is going to need a Rocky Maivia to the Rock era where he's able to transition naturally into finding out who he is as a sports entertainer. I don't think he's a bad worker. I don't think he's a bad promo. But as you mentioned, he does come off very clunky at times on the microphone due to some of the personality habits that he has that don't allow him to effectively portray the emotions that they need him to be portraying right now.
Mm-hmm. One question I have for you, Harry, and we talked about this earlier, and, with this whole Roman Reigns thing, the blood, Vince dropping an F-bomb at the beginning of the show, very much an edgier Raw. Do you expect more of this?
Well, if you believe the rumors that are out there online, they want to produce edgier content between now and WrestleMania. And the thing is apparently there was a story that came out a while back about USA Network encouraging them to step up the edginess of their content. That being said, USA Network isn't the problem here. Generally speaking, a lot of their fan base isn't the problem here. The problem lies with their major sponsor, and that would be Mattel.
Yeah.
Because since Mattel caters towards children, they're not going to want a especially edgy product that parents are not going to let their children watch and not going to let their children buy the action figures for.
Yeah, I think if it's just one segment, if it's just going to be the Triple H and or two, honestly, you don't need the swearing. I think that's so stupid. Just saying the F word does not make it any better of a show or less better of a show. You want to have the blood here and there, that's whatever. It is it's supposed to be sort of real life, but I just think it's if that's what the way they want to get edgy, there's other ways to get edgy.
Well, here's my thought process about that. Do you remember when we used to have Monday Night Raw and Raw is War, or Raw is War in the War Zone?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think you need to distinguish between the hours if you're going to do this year, so that way parents will know that it's okay for children of a certain age to watch such and such an hour. But let's say that 10 o'clock hour hits, nobody under the age of say 14 should be watching. Although to be fair, if you're a parent and your child's watching wrestling at 10 o'clock on a Monday, that's kind of on you.
Hey.
Sean's like, hey, what about my parenting?
No, I'm just saying sometimes I'm having to put her to bed and I'm having to watch that show on Monday and it's on and it's whatever, but it's, you know.
But at the same time, though, I don't think you can complain about the content if you're letting a child of a younger age, and I know your daughter's relatively young, Sean.
No, I'm not complaining about it for my daughter. I'm just saying I think it's dumb. I think the people that think that makes your show better because you said the F-bomb is stupid.
No, that I agree with, but at the same time, you can't have these people that you can't have all these fans that want edgier content bitching about the fact that they're going to try to have
the F word does not mean edgy. Like it's the same people that think that PG means boring. It doesn't. It's the way you do the show.
I just agreed with you. Paul and I are firsthand acknowledgers of the fact that PG entertainment can be very fun because we're both huge fans of Chikara. And Chikara is a family-friendly organization that does PG right.
Mm-hmm. Very strict on the PG rating, too. Like, they throw you out of the building if you even utter cuss words, so...
That's awesome.
Whereas, I agree with you in the essence that I don't believe that the swearing and stuff is necessary, but if you're going to do it, it needs to stay in later hours where there are less likely to be children
watching. I agree with you. It's like the people that get mad because we don't go around cursing on this show. It's just, look, I mean, you want that? Why do I have to tell my story or whatever I'm trying to say by saying, and this shit and F and whatever? It doesn't change what I mean here. I'm still saying the same freaking thing, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to hear a bunch of swearing, just listen to the Raw reaction. We got it covered.
There you go.
There you go.
Are you guys doing anniversary show predictions here?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
You want to join us?
Yeah, I'll hang around for the 14th anniversary show predictions.
Okay, so let's Paul, what do we have left on the Go Home show real quick?
We still got a little bit left to go.
Let's go ahead and finish it up real quick, and then we'll get into predictions.
Okay. So Silas Young cuts a quick promo saying that his patience regarding the boys has run out. On the second night, the TV tapings they're doing after the pay-per-view on Saturday, him and Dalton Castle have a fight without honor. So I'm assuming that is what he's referencing to. We get an interview with the Young Bucks, hyping up their never open-weight six-man tag team title match against Kushida, HCH, and Alex Shelley at the pay-per-view, which should be totally awesome. BJ Whitmer squashes Cauliflower Chase Brown. Go for it.
Sorry to interrupt here. The six-man neverweight match is ACH, Kushida, and Matt Sydal. Alex Shelley's wrestling Christopher Daniels.
Well, then my write-up's lying to me, and it's a terrible thing for it.
That's what I saw on 411 Mania. It's Shelley and Daniels, and then the six-man neverweight is ACH, Kushida, and Matt Sydal.
Matt Sydal. Yep. Yeah. I'm seeing that now as I pull up the card.
Yes.
Anyway, BJ Whitmer squashes Cauliflower Chase Brown. Sort of look dominant. He's got that thing with Adam Page going. So
yeah, I like the fact that they talk about it, but really, this is just to make him look good. That's about it. That's all you need to know.
Yep. Dalton Castle and the boys come on out to hype up the boys taking on Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser next week on the television show. Adam Cole gets to cut a promo. He's pretty much hyping up the main event, which is him and Kyle O'Reilly and Jay Lethal for the ROH World Title, which should also be something very spectacular. And then you have your main event, the Briscoes taking on ACH and Alex Shelley, which is it's a fun sprint of a tag team match, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, and just to go back to the Adam Cole and Jay Lethal, and of course, the way that all worked out, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. And of course, building to the 14th anniversary show, and of course, we do, get I'm blanking on his name already. Kyle O'Reilly getting involved, and I like the fact that he didn't talk at all; he just started fighting. So
Yeah.
that was nice. A nice little bit of tidbit there. And of course, like Paul said, I mean, I enjoyed the main event. It was not bad. It was fun. It wasn't, a 5-star match, but it was fun. It was just a good end of the show. So, I mean, we mentioned it earlier. Ring of Honor is not the best at go home show. But that's okay. We get the main point. We get the card. They do a great job of presenting the card to you on their show. So that's all you need to know. And, of course, talking about that, let's go ahead and break that 14th anniversary show card down, Paul.
Yeah. So first up on my format here is Hiroki Goto taking on Dalton Castle. This should be a whole bunch of fun. The overshowiness of Castle and Goto's lack thereof and intent on beating the bejesus out of you should make for a fun clash of styles here.
For me personally, I'm a Castle fan, so I'm going Dalton Castle.
I'm going to go Castle here, too. It would continue the depression storyline that Goto is on. And I don't know. I don't see him winning, how that helps him at all with the story they got going with for him.
I'm inclined to disagree with you here, and the reason I'm inclined to disagree is because Dalton Castle is ROH's answer to sports entertainment. Therefore, I'm kind of expecting the sports entertainment finish with Silas Young getting involved. I'm picking Hiroki Goto.
I'm picking Goto more based on my love of him than for any storyline reason. But I wouldn't be surprised if this goes the other way, just because I think Dalton is certainly one of the guys that Ring of Honor wants up in that top tier sooner rather than later. Next up, the grudge match, BJ Whitmer and Adam Page.
I might go to the bathroom during this. I'm sorry, anything involves BJ Whitmer, I do not care.
Completely disagree with you. I am a huge fan of BJ Whitmer. I always have been, and honestly, I feel like he's been doing some of his best work since he came back into professional wrestling back in 2012. That being said, I still think we're going to use this to set the stage for Whitmer Carino as soon as Carino's able to go. I don't think that's over with, so I am going to pick Whitmer to beat Page and set up something with Carino.
I'm with you, Harry. Anytime a BJ is involved, I'm down. So I think I'm still going Page, though.
You just lost your PG. You just lost your PG, Don.
I'm surprised no one picked up on that. Or maybe they were ignoring me, Harry. I think they were ignoring me. I'm going Page.
Yeah, I was trying to just not mention it. Whatever you want to do with your time there, Gary.
I was not
saying
anything.
Come on. Gary's married. We all know those aren't happening anymore. Anyway.
Whatever. I'm going to go with Whitmer as well, probably.
I'm going with Whitmer as well, although I really hope they don't skip on letting Adam Page put on a show, because he can certainly make this match into something much more enjoyable than what we would be bound to get if we get a little bit more BJ at this point in our career. No DQ match for the ROH World Tag Team titles. War Machine taking on the All Night Express. I'm sure this will be fun. I'm not too heavily invested in this match.
I like the ANX, but I don't think the time has come to take the belts off of Hanson in a row yet. I think War Machine retains.
Amen, Harry. I'm with you.
War Machine.
Also, War Machine. If they don't, they need a long run. They just need a long run. Mm-hmm. Next up, Alex Shelley taking on Christopher Daniels. Shelley's still trying to get at them addiction guys.
And I honestly feel like this is the part where we jump where we give the ROH Tag Team title division to jumpstart it needs. You still have the Addiction, but Sabin turns, and we reformed the Murder City Machine Guns in ROH. Shelley wins.
Man, Harry has a really good idea here because it seems like pretty much we have not seen him in New Japan for a while. I guess he might still show up for Best of Super Junior, but we haven't seen him. So it seems like he's doing more stuff with ROH right now, and doing the whole Motor City Machine Guns thing would not be a bad idea. They brought in All Night Express for that reason of pushing the tag division. I'm gonna go with Shelley.
Ooh. You know what? I think I got to go Shelley too.
I'm with Harry on this exactly. Shelley, because of the Sabin term. We see Sabin at the end of the last show we just talked about on Ring of Honor have some conflicting feelings as the Addiction attacked everybody. So certainly lends credence to that turn coming up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I noticed that while the Addiction was hitting Shelley with Celebrity Rehab, he just kind of stood on the sideline and did nothing, but didn't exactly look happy about it either.
Right. Next up is the Never Openweight 6-man tag team title match. Kushida, ACH, and Matt Sydal take on the defending champs Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, also known as the Elite. This is going to be flippy, guys.
Yeah, lots of flippies, and Kushida, Omega get to renew their thing. Always nice to see that going. This is going to be fun. So much goodness happening here.
I got to go Club.
The Elite retain.
I have a bit of advice to ROH fans here. With the announcement of the Global Cruiserweight Series coming to the network, enjoy ACH while you can. His time in ROH is not for much longer. Being said,
that would be cool.
That being said, the Elite retain the titles here when Kenny Omega pins Matt Sydal with the One-Winged Angel.
I like it.
Harry? Or Harry. Jesus. I'm tired.
I call Harry Gary. So.
Yeah, that's okay. I chose the Elite. That's how I'm going.
All right.
You called them the Bullet Club.
I did call them the Bullet Club, but I'm still stuck on that. I love the Bullet.
Technically, they still are the Bullet Club, Gary, so you're fine.
I know. I don't know. You call them the Elite. They need to be called the Elite. Bulletproof is coming soon.
It's a dumb name.
You guys, real quick. Did you see about Omega and the Young Bucks challenge to the New Day? Do you think anything ever comes of that?
We talked about that a little bit. I don't. Sean, kind of give me your scenario because I thought
the only way it can happen is an NXT. New Day aren't champions. You bring them down. You say that somebody has mysteriously challenged them, and Omega and the Bucks show up. That's the only way that can happen because it would have to happen on the network. There's no way Vince is going to have it on his TV stations. New Japan gets free TV.
Well, there's talk going around that the WWE has been trying to re-sign Kenny Omega and that he turned down 4 different offers in 2015.
Yeah, but I think he has a deal with them. There's no way he has the IC title if he doesn't have a deal. So.
All right. Carry on, Paul.
Alrighty. I the Elite retain as well. I think we see him bust out the Tory special there on Sydal.
Yes, which for Gary, they have named their triple bang for your buck the Tiger Hattori.
Oh, awesome!
So
it's wonderful.
After the
wait a minute. What's the third part of the triple bang? Because I know the more bang for your buck. I haven't seen the new.
Omega does a moonsault first.
Yeah.
So it's a double moonsault followed by a 450, or is it a moonsault 450 moonsault?
I think it's Omega doing a senton, I think, and then it's the moonsault, and then it's the 450.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty awesome. 3-way for the ROH World Television title. Tomohiro Ishii defends against Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. God have mercy on Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish's skulls.
I think this was a good on ROH thing in order to put the belt on Ishii in the first place. That being said, as the fact is that he's only going to be around, to my knowledge, in ROH for the TV tapings the following day. I don't think they keep the TV title on him. And I've actually been kind of enjoying the Roderick work versus the World Series, so I'm going to go with Roderick strong.
I'm going to go with Roderick, too. Roderick looked a little bit shaky in that match with Ishii, but he did have a lot of the offense. Looked better in that tag the next night, but it should be fun watching them again. It's going to be awesome. I don't know how much of a role Bobby Fish is going to play, but yeah, I think Strong gets it back.
Yeah, I was going to try to do something different here and go with Fish, but I just can't. I'm going to go with
I mean, I will say this, that Ishii's probably coming back in May for the Global Wars and War of the Worlds thing, so there is an outside shot that he could keep it till then, but I just don't imagine ROH is going to want to keep the television title off of their live events and their TV taping.
Oh no, I agree with you. I'm just saying that, just to bring the kayfabe sense in there into it.
Mm-hmm. There's a very large part of me that wants to pick Ishii to retain just to see what happens, but I wouldn't be. Roderick Strong probably going to win the belt back here.
It just felt like a whole shock thing to say, oh, you want to see what happens now? Go order the Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, not to mention, it seemed like Ishii winning the TV title over in Japan seemed like an advertising for the ROH Video on Demand service too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And then probably the most WTF booking on this show, Kazuchika Okada is taking on Moose. War of the Dropkick here, guys.
Yeah. Plus you got Geto and Stokely Hathaway. See if those two get involved at all in something. This is going to be fun. Okada, he's going to sell like crazy for Moose. I'm sure Okada's going to win, but this should be a good match, hopefully.
We've heard of super kick parties. Is this going to be a drop kick rager? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Bless you, Gary.
Thinking about that. Anyway, no, I go, yeah, Okada. I got to go that way.
Did Gary miss his short bus before the show started?
Man, and then Harry just took it to another level.
I don't think there's a question that Okada wins here. I think the question is do they let Moose kick out of Rainmaker?
No.
Nope. Okada wins, Rainmaker, but, man, if anybody's going to carry Moose to more than a 3-star match, it's going to be Okada. Mm-hmm. Next up, Briscoe's taking on Tanahashi and Elgin. This should be really special.
Yes, it should be, and Elgin doesn't have to do the strongman thing, so this should be interesting. I really want to see what they get to do. I love the fact that Elgin and Tana have these. They don't have that many, but they have some nice little tag team combo things, and the Briscoes have really adapted to doing their thing now, and they're always great as a tag team. So this is gonna be good.
I have kind of a controversial opinion here. I'm more or less over the Briscoe brothers at this point. And it has nothing to do with the actual in-ring work. The in-ring work is fine. I just think his characters, they're stale.
I don't think that, you're like totally alone in that. I'm sure there are people that are totally over them. I forgot to say, I think Elgin and Tana win, but...
that being said, I do think the Briscoes pick up the win here, and I think a lot of that has to do with some possible residual heat between Elgin and ROH management, and this is going to be kind of a make-good on Elgin's part. So I'm going to pick the Briscoes, win Jay pins Elgin with the Jay Driller.
Yeah, I think that the Briscoes have had the same thing going for a long time. I could totally understand Harry's point here, but they also added a female presence that kind of, maybe helps them to make them different. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going Briscoes here.
You see, I would grant you that, Gary, although I will be the first person to admit I have never been an ODB fan.
Yeah, and how much of a female is she? That's the question.
Gary. I guess Eric Young would be able to tell us.
That's true.
How much of a male is he? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Briscoes get the win more because I think they need another strong contender for somebody for War Machine to beat the bejesus out of, and Briscoes War Machine just sounds fun. So, with that, we get to our main event. Jay Lethal defends the ROH World Title against Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly.
I will start off here, and I'm going to make a bold prediction. The longest heavyweight title reign in the United States comes to an end as Adam Cole, baby, regains the ROH Championship.
I think Adam Cole wins here, too.
It just brings a tear to my eye. But I'm going to go Cole as well.
I am still not ready for Jay Lethal's title reign to be over. However, I don't know if there's another person in the company that they could feasibly have to take the belt off Lethal other than Adam Cole. That being said, I'm still saying Jay Lethal retains.
Okay.
I eventually feel like it's going to lead to a renewal of what happened at Final Battle last year with Cole and O'Reilly again this year, except this time it'll be for the ROH title, and I think that might be where they put the belt on O'Reilly.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. For sure. So, well, that rounds out our card. That's a great card, and I'm definitely looking forward to that show, and I think, Sean, are we doing a special on Sunday?
Yes, we are doing a special on Sunday.
Okay.
Doing the podcast. I'll have a written review out there, probably for Saturday morning. Yeah.
All right, great. So everybody look forward to that for sure, and we'll remind you again. Go ahead, Harry.
I'm calling a show on Saturday night. If I have the opportunity to watch the pay-per-view between when it airs Friday and when you guys are doing the special on Sunday, I would be more than willing to join you guys for the review.
Okay. Well,
of course, before we get to that special, the three of us, Harry, Patrick, and I'll be there. I don't know if I'm talking or not. WrestleMania 30 on Wrestling Unwrapped. Check that out on Sunday before we do the special.
I'm actually in the process of rewatching the Hall of Fame from 2014 as we speak.
Awesome. That's great. So definitely, everybody check out that. And of course, we'll get into a lot more of the, the stuff, the information for you guys at the end of the show for each of these shows. But we want to let you know about them right now. So, man, Harry, anything else you want to bring to us before we move on to Lucha Underground?
I actually had a chance to watch Lucha Underground this week. I'd be willing to stay.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on, Sean. We're going to go do some Lucha Underground now. Be right back.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I forgot. We don't have music. My God. We haven't had music in for is it 3 months?
Gary needs to get on there.
Yeah, Sean, you got to remind me.
You know what it is now that they've gotten rid of the Mexican hipster bands?
No, we just use the that crowd chanting Lucha thing, and then that beginning part of the dun usually. But it somehow got lost in the having to transition things over, and so we have to make it again.
Yeah, we'll get that done eventually. Me and Sean need to really work.
Next week, I will remind you, Gary.
Yes, thank you. But let's move on.
Go ahead, Paul.
We get a video package opening us with Pentagon meeting with his master. Vampiro's sort of talking about how he's possessing Ian and all this stuff, and it's fun mysticism, but the important part is he mentions that you can't let anything stop you, Pentagon, not even her. Dun dun dun.
Well, didn't they show Katrina when he said her?
Yes, I think they did do that.
Oh.
It would make sense why we get the thing later.
Yeah.
Right, I was going to say they foreshadowed a segment that vignette that happened a little bit later on, but all right, we'll get to that when we get to it.
Are you sure? Because I thought he was looking at a picture of Patricia Arquette.
Oh boy, okay.
Okay, I was making sure. Maybe I'm confused here. Move on.
Gets us to our first match: PJ Black and Jack Evans, with Jack going over about 4 minutes, due to some Drago shenanigans because Jack is labeling himself the Dragon Slayer, like you do when you're in Lucha Underground.
Jack actually had a very interesting little rap before his introduction when he took over from Melissa Santos. See, the thing about Evans is Evans is exactly what he says. He is Mr. Lucha Libre because to an American fan, he's got the entertainment factor down, but he also has all the Rudo stylings inside of the ring down as well. In that you enjoy seeing him in the ring, but at the same time, you just want to see him get punched repeatedly in the face.
Not to mention, he also looks like a giant douche, too, so...
Yep, acts like a giant douche, too.
Question on PJ Black here. Obviously, for those who don't know, PJ Black's the former Justin Gabriel. Are you guys okay with him dropping both of his first two contests inside of Lucha Underground?
I already don't care about him.
I'm more okay with this one because it's storyline related for Jack, and PJ hasn't really been made to be anything yet.
I've just never been that big a Justin Gabriel person, so maybe that's just me. But
See, I couldn't disagree more. I always thought that Gabriel was going to be the biggest star of the original Nexus.
Fair enough. But that should tell you everything you need to know about Nexus when Ryback and Ryback's pretty much the only guy left standing. And Heath Slater.
Heath Slater? Darren Young?
Yeah, Darren Young's just so on WWE TV right now.
I didn't say he was on top. Hey, at least he's not suspended like his tag team partner is.
Hey, true.
Don't hug Vince.
Well, we don't know if it's his tag team partner anymore. That just kind of
that's true too. Well, his other tag team partner just asked for time off, so
Hey, maybe WWE will finally figure out something to do with him.
Unlikely.
Yeah, probably not. Go ahead, Gary. What do you think about this stuff?
Think about Justin Gabriel.
Yeah. The Darewolf.
Handsome man. That's about it. I don't have anything.
Okay. This is late night. The after dark version.
Okay, apparently Gary is unhappily married at this point.
I kid. She calls. No, I won't say what she calls me. Anyway, no, Justin Gabriel's fine. He is what he is. I don't have any expectations for him, honestly. So it doesn't surprise me.
I don't know. They just look. They bring everybody in with some kind of vignette now, as we'll see in just a second with this. It doesn't make me feel like they're any more or less a bigger deal because everybody gets one. And, I don't know. He just doesn't feel like one of those guys that I think is going to be like this huge thing in Lucha Underground right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fair. There's a lot at the top of Lucha Underground right now, so... moving on anyways, we get a Famous B vignette, which is probably the best thing ever because he's promising to make jobbers famous. You just gotta call 423-GET-FAME, and apparently it's a real number that works.
Yes, and...
It is a real number that works, I called it, and it's hysterical.
Bless you, Harry.
And, it's like an old car commercial. It's just so silly.
Well, he turns jobbers into robbers.
Yeah, because that's just great. It's also racist, but
Somewhere Repo Man is suing for gimmick infringement.
It's true.
Yeah.
But that might have been my favorite thing about this show, so... King
what does that say
on...
about this show?
Yeah. King Cuerno takes on Killshot. It's a pretty fun match. 6 minutes, give or take.
This is all get out. Lots of really loud kicks in this match.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty good. I liked it. Killshot actually has been getting like more screen time than I thought he would. He didn't seem like it seemed like on the first season it was all about Mac, and of course that was when Big Rick was still around and stuff. But Killshot seems to be getting more screen time than his supposed to be bigger deal pal over there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I gotta be honest with you guys. The first time I saw the guy who portrays Killshot, I wasn't particularly impressed. But his work with the Killshot gimmick has definitely stepped up my opinion of him.
I would tend to agree with you on that. He seems like when he's not being Killshot, he seems much more reckless in the ring. Here, he's more focused.
Yeah, he has almost a very low hit and miss ratio with Shane Strickland, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cuerno wins that with Thrill of the Hunt, by the way. Totally forgot to mention that. He goes for a beatdown. Phoenix makes the save. We all know where that's going. Next up, Tejano takes on Chavo, Cisco, and Castro in a gauntlet match that he ends up losing because, you can't beat 3 against 1, apparently. So
I fast-forwarded through this because it involves Chavo.
I rewound it because I'm just... I kid.
I don't care for the crew in its current incarnation. A lot of that has to do with the fan that I have never been a fan of Little Chulo. I do not care for him at all.
Hey, I'm with you on that, Harry.
And I'm not real big on Ricky Reyes either.
I'm interested in Ricky Reyes Undercover Cop.
That I agree with, but I think they also got rid of the best worker that the crew had in Bale, a.k.a. B-Boy.
Well, he got eaten.
Well,
so.
yeah. Matanza had to eat someone.
Like you do in Lucha Underground. Speaking of eating people... Go for it, Eric.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, yeah. So what happened to B-Boy in Lucha Underground? Oh, he dead.
Yeah, he did. And his murderer is in the next scene here as we hear Matanza eating some people. Dario goes over how he came across that Red Bull, which apparently Matanza used to murder their mother, who was a very evil lady and would beat on Dario and stuff like that. Lotus says it's a very sad story, but Dario says it's a happy memory because it's on that day they learned how much he loved violence. This was a pretty scary 10 minutes of television. When a sociopath tells you why he loves things.
My only issue with Dario is I can't see him now without seeing the director on telenovela. The image is ruined for me.
Why, Dario? Must you break kayfabe and work another show?
Oh, man. It's true.
Katrina walks into the dojo, where Pentagon happens to be, of course. She uses her magic to sort of teleport around. Pentagon wants to fight Puma. Katrina says no. Originally, then they end up getting in a fight, and then Katrina eventually gives in.
And tells him that putting his hands on her is the biggest mistake he'll ever make.
Because, they have to have one intergender thing happen every show, it seems like.
Fair.
Look, I'm just making a point that they were upfront about that they were really going to push that this season, and at least so far, they have made that a point every episode.
See, I don't like it in this particular instance, though, because Katina has never been viewed as anything more than support for Mil Muerte. She's never been viewed as an actual in-ring competitor in Lucha Underground, and her holding her own on a strike exchange with Pentagon Jr. makes him look weaker by comparison, in my opinion.
I don't think so. The fact that he got in there and almost forgot to break her arm and she had to use magic kind of saved him there.
But she held her own during the strike exchange up until the point that he got her down with the thruft hold.
Right, but she's freaking mystical, man. Obviously, if she can disappear whenever the hell she wants, that kind of puts you on a different plane.
Nah.
I mean, it's stupid we're kind of having this argument about a mystical show. But,
And then the unicorn showed up.
And well,
exactly.
The new day.
The unicorns are on Mondays and Thursdays, Gary.
Oh, sorry. I got wrong show.
Main event, Johnny Mundo takes on Cage. Pretty gosh darn good match here, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, really enjoyed this. Really fun, very good main event to end the show. I mean, this has been a kind of heated thing, and I'm glad they got to do this. Then you get Taya Valkyrie, Reina de Reinas champion, showing up at the end. So
step down from Melina.
God, Melina.
Probably a lot saner, though.
That I don't disagree with. At least we don't know if Taya posting anybody's Cialis prescriptions online.
Exactly.
That could have been something I could have gone without knowing about Johnny Mundo.
No, I understand.
Gary, we don't want to know about you and Cialis. We already had that conversation.
I'm just saying, sometimes you got to get up for things,
Most of us have no issue in that regard. Anyways, back to the show itself. I think it makes sense for Mundo to have an on-screen female companion. I don't know about the chemistry between Mundo and Taya. I guess we'll have to see how they interact with each other in the vignettes. That being said, Mundo strikes me as the kind of guy that's douchey enough only to care about himself, and I think that'll eventually end up leading somewhere as well.
Oh, it makes sense for a heel character he has right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's your...
after the match, you get Cuerno meeting with Katrina. He wants to cash in Gift of the Gods title. Katrina pretty much refuses, seeing as he's backing out of the deal, and makes him defend it next week against Phoenix in a ladder match.
Boy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Big match to have on a show. I don't necessarily know if I'm a big fan of them having the rematch this fast already. But, it is what it is. They got a lot to try to do in this one season.
Yes, it makes me question exactly how long the season's going to be.
Yeah, I think they said 24, didn't they, episodes?
I believe the season ends in June.
So I still think that it's kind of... I think they're making a mistake of waiting until January to bring it back. I think having it come back on October wouldn't have been a bad thing.
Well, apparently they're getting approved for a third season, and the third season's going to have a full 52-week approval.
Sure about that? I thought it was less, but that's cool.
I feel like if they had the opportunity to continuously tell a story over a one-year span, that they would be able to do so more efficiently with their TV episodes. But the fact that they have the shortened schedule for this particular season is requiring them to rush a lot of elements that they would have given more time to originally.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I agree with you. I want to see them have it for a whole year, and it would make sense why you want to start in January then, but I don't know. That must be something new, because last I heard it was another short, like maybe 30-something episode season or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Lucha Underground, I think.
For sure.
That is it.
All right, guys. Well, the next on the dock is TNA. I don't know if you watched that, Harry. I'm not sure if you had the option.
I have not had a chance to catch this week's episode yet. I'm actually a week behind.
Uh-oh. Well, that's okay. Sometimes you got to catch up and just enjoy you some EC3. So, but definitely. Go ahead.
I would definitely say I did not think he would make for as good of a babyface as he is. He just has some very natural heel instincts, and he had them even back as Derek Bateman. And I honestly feel like if it were to come to the point that TNA does see its final breath, that he would be welcomed back into the WWE with open arms.
Oh yeah, Seth Rollins is like one of his best friends. He's still going to be back there.
I think it's going to happen eventually. So, well, man, Harry, we definitely appreciate you calling, man, and it's been fun. It's kind of cool to have you on for a couple segments here.
Yeah, almost an hour, which is the longest I've been on here for a while. Mind if I toss a couple quick plugs here before I get out of here?
Go for it.
All right, as Sean previously mentioned, I'm going to officially reiterate here. It is Sunday, February 28th, and the road to WrestleMania on Wrestling Unwrapped begins as Patrick Ketza, Sean himself, as well as myself, Harry Broadhurst, to cover WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan's finest day. In light of Bryan's recent retirement and the fact that WrestleMania 30 has won the fan vote, we have decided to start with this WrestleMania rather than going in the original planned chronological order. That being said, I'm going to let you guys know that the other WrestleManias we will be covering are 1, 17, 20, and 31. We will cover those over the course of the next 5 weeks on Wrestling Unwrapped as our road to WrestleMania begins. In addition, you can find more information out about Wrestling Unwrapped by visiting us on Facebook at facebook.com/Wrestling Unwrapped or on Twitter at twitter.com/WU Off the Shelf. In addition, if you don't feel like waiting to hear the guys here talk about Raw on Thursday nights, you can listen to myself, Tony Acero, and Rick Dalen cover Raw on Mondays immediately afterwards on the Raw Reaction at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Breaking Wrestling News Radio. The three of us get together, along with the most valuable producer, Jimmy Christopher, to immediately break down that night's Raw and discuss where it's going in terms of our build towards the 2016 edition of WrestleMania. That is Wrestling Unwrapped and the Raw Reaction on both the W2M network as well as Breaking Wrestling News Radio. That's going to do it for me, guys.
All right. Well, yeah, there you go, Harry. Nice on the plugs there. Very smooth. So
I have a gift. What can I say?
Oh, I apparently lost Scary here. So,
awesome. Well, I'll hang around until he comes back.
Okay.
We'll stall for time.
So, hold on. I apparently got a text. His computer restarted on him on accident.
Take back,
okay.
Gary.
Yeah, gotta love computers.
You know what it is? He was trying to refill his Cialis prescription online.
Yes.
Yes. So moving on from that.
Yeah, I can kill a couple moments here real quick. I wanted to ask you guys a couple things real quick too.
Okay, go ahead.
In light of the just announced road to WrestleMania, if you guys were to pick a WrestleMania to cover yourselves, which one would you guys want to cover?
6.
I can go with that, or 8.
I just recently rewatched WrestleMania 8, and just top to bottom, that card was loaded. I mean, it's on the heels of arguably one of the more infamous Royal Rumbles of all time.
Mm-hmm.
What with the whole hour of being fair to Flair.
Yes.
Yes.
There's,
we actually just covered that Rumble on Wrestling Unwrapped, too. If you want to check it out, you can do so on the W2M archives.
Yes. Bobby Heenan. Awesome. And telling you all to be fair to Flair. Anything else?
Just generally trying to kill some time here until Gary gets back. What were some of the other major news stories that you guys covered? I'll give my thoughts on real quick.
I think
Kota Ibushi starting his own promotion in light of leaving New Japan and DDT.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like I think Kota ends up in the Global Cruiserweight Series, and especially since, isn't it rumored that he's been endorsed by Shinsuke?
That is indeed the rumor, sir.
Yes, I'd imagine that Shinsuke would have endorsed him, period. But, yeah, I mean, he's put out the good word, and that would be amazing.
If Kota wants to run his own promotion, though, then obviously he's not going to come over full time. But I could definitely see him being involved.
Well, the thing with that promotion is it's not going to be anything serious. I mean, Japan has so many promotions. I mean, it would really have to be something crazy. He did say he wants to take time to develop his own unique style of wrestling, so we'll have to see how that goes. He said the style he was working was too hard on him.
Did you guys hear anything about what exactly is going to entail the GCS?
Other than it being a 32-man tournament and that it's going to be, 10 weeks, and we don't know yet. I mean, it's a tournament, so they just do matches. I mean, and you're going to get profiles on them and stuff like that. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be anything else.
I was going to say, do you think it's at all possible, like, if they haven't announced the length of the show or anything, do you think it's possible they might do it Best of American Super Junior style?
No, that would involve it being a block.
Yeah.
Best of Super Junior, sorry.
I don't think it'll be round robin, but I do think they're going to give these guys every chance to go out there and try to get as much exposure as possible. Granted, I'm sure a lot of people that are going to be watching this are at least familiar with the guys, if not intimately.
Yeah, it would take too long with the round robin if they did it that way.
Have you guys heard any of the names that have been bandied about? I've heard a couple names, and I want to know if you guys have heard anything different from what I may have.
Well, Zack Sabre. I've heard
a lot of those Evolve ones. Yeah, Zack Sabre, Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy End. I've heard.
I've heard Michael Facade.
That's false. Marty Scurll, maybe. Speedball.
I don't know if we see Mike Bailey involved or not. I wouldn't mind seeing Bailey involved, but at the same time, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up the commitments that he currently has in addition to doing the GCS. Now, obviously, if it leads to a potential opportunity to stay with the company, then it could lead somewhere like going to NXT afterwards or something. Do you think they involve any of the NXT talent? I don't think we see any main roster talent involved.
Oh, I think we will see NXT guys. I think the guy you just saw this week, I think Christopher Gerard's going to be on it. Rich Swann's going to be there, I think.
I think not having Richie Swann involved would be a gigantic mistake. I don't know if this Busick style translates to the cruiserweight format, though.
It doesn't say that they have to be high flyers.
It
just says they have to be the weight.
So, what is the weight limit for this? Is it 220 again?
205, supposedly.
Oh, wow, they're lowering it even further.
You know, the thing is, they can make people that are not 205 look 205, so it's not...
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned La Sombra in your talk as well, Sean, when we were mentioning names.
La Sombra.
Yeah, Manny Andrade, I think it is.
Originally, this whole thing was supposed to be like the coming out party for La Sombra. So I imagine it's going to stay the same way. I mean, unless they
shows up.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? T.J. Perkins could show up, Gary.
Yeah.
So.
The reason I ask as far as the whole WWE NXT tie-in is because I heard one of my friends was insisting that the reason that they kept the U.S. title on Kalisto is because they were planning on turning the U.S. title into the Cruiserweight title. And I told him I thought he was crazy.
I mean, honestly...
You were right to do so, Harry.
Yeah, I mean, do they really need two mid-card titles at this point? I don't know. Could they turn it into a Cruiserweight title? Sure, but I just don't want Cruiserweights on WWE because Vince is terrible at pigeonholing you, and most of your roster
at some point, especially when you bring up a lot of these NXT guys, you know, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, all that, it's going to be in around that weight range. So you're going to tell them that some of these guys are heavyweights, but these other 190 guys are not?
I'm almost saying that after the GCS ends, the Cruiserweight title finds its way onto NXT television. It's kind of their secondary title.
That I wouldn't mind. You know, they could just call it something else, not the Cruiserweight, but whatever. All right, well, we need to get going with the TNA here.
Yeah. But,
all right, yeah, like I said, I was just stalling until Gary got back. He's back now.
I appreciate it, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate the sentiment there, Harry. I don't know. I thought maybe you'd got Jimmy Christopher to hack into my computer and shut me down.
I assure you, Jimmy Christopher has much better things to do.
Okay, just making sure, man. So, all right,
all right,
Harry.
I'm gonna go finish this Hall of Fame. Y'all guys have a good night.
Later.
All right,
later, Harry.
Later, guys.
All right, guys, let's do some TNA Impact Wrestling. Right back.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
All right, this was the lockdown edition of TNA, which got a whopping 206,000 viewers. Their lowest rating since being on Pop TV. So apparently people got tired of the cage matches. That sucks. Poor TNA. Even TNA Mecca went on meltdown. I'm not joking.
Oh, wow.
So we start with Beer Money and Bram and Eric Young. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. I can't believe some people actually, you know, these TNA fans, some of these TNA fans think that Eric Young needs to be champion. Why? But, you know, I thought this was okay. I didn't think it was anything, you know, awesome or whatever, but good, way better that they didn't start it with somebody talking.
Absolutely agree. I'm also, you know, I was glad they got this out of the way first, because there's a lot of people in this match I'm not a fan of, and we just got this out of the way real fast, quick, in a hurry.
I knew it, Paul. You were just ready. But yeah, you know, not an exciting way to start the show, but it was okay, you know. So there you go. You got what you got.
Madison Rayne gets attacked backstage, so the face team is down a person for Lethal Lockdown. The Knockouts Lethal Lockdown later. We do quickly have our talking segment here because, you know, TNA can't go without one. It involves EC3 cutting, I thought, with a really good promo here. Rockstar Spud comes out. Eventually Matt Hardy comes out with his crew. And, yeah, he basically told Rockstar Spud, if you come near me again, near the ring during the match, he'll never be the same, and that EC3 is going to be embarrassed. Foreshadowing. I really didn't see it coming, honestly. I'll be honest. Normally, I could, but they did a pretty good job here, I thought.
I agree with you too. I didn't see it coming. But I really enjoyed the segment. I thought EC3 was great. Spud was great. I mean, Hardy was great. Everybody was on point here.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it more later. But, you know, this is good stuff.
Jimmy Havoc, who obviously has romantic ties to Rosemary, he has a very appropriate shirt of Die, Jimmy Die, on. He basically said she was mine before she was yours to Crazy Steve and Abyss, and that Rosemary is crazy and dangerous, and that he brings that out of her, and he's on a mission to get her back. Later, he gives her something, I guess, from their relationship together, and then Crazy Steve and Rosemary do the freaky laugh, I swear Rosemary's just very scary. They have this nice little promo for them where they Rosemary spits at the camera and it spits out decay. I thought that was kind of cool. And then Abyss and Crazy Steve meet Jimmy Havoc later. And Abyss is like, do you know who you're messing with? And all this stuff. Just this continued throughout the night. So what do you guys think of all these little things with all of them?
Pleasantly intrigued is where I'm at. I wasn't expecting a whole lot from Abyss and Crazy Steve. The addition of Rosemary got me interested, and this addition of Jimmy Havoc is keeping me enthralled. So,
yeah, a new little twist to that, and it makes it interesting. So I'm okay with it. Not a problem.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting for these, for them. It's a little soap opera-y, but it works.
Hey, a little love never hurt anybody, huh?
No,
it's true.
Not. No. Trevor Lee and Tigre Uno, I thought they had a pretty good match here. Shane Helms was there, and he was going to get involved, so I wasn't too big into that, but the match was still good.
I agree. As a fair match, we need more people in this X division and some more focus on it because, honestly, the only thing I'm like, oh, this could be a good match, and that's really about all we get.
Yeah, it's the honest truth, and I kind of, it's sad, but I kind of miss the days when they actually had a pretty big X division.
Yep. And many people miss the days when they had a, pretty good knockouts division, too, with this Lethal Lockdown match. Maria does get talked to by Gail Kim about possibly entering the match in Madison Rain's stead, and Maria kind of leaves it at, well, we'll see. And everybody does come into the ring, and Maria runs into the ring like she's going to go in, but right before she's going to step into the ring, she decides better of it and locks the door to start the match. And as you can imagine, that means that Gail Kim and Velvet Sky do not win. And, Velvet Sky isn't the greatest anyway, so, yeah.
What do you mean she's not the greatest? She's dating Bubba Ray Dudley.
Well, you know what? WWE won't even sign her, so should tell you all you need to know about Velvet Sky.
I guess age is everything. Oh.
Oh, dear.
I kid. Yeah,
Well, to be fair, they probably won't. They might let Gallows bring her along as a valet, but I don't see her wrestling because of her age. Amber Gallows, I mean. So, because she's 41.
Oh, boy. The real thing about this whole thing is I didn't have a lot of expectations going into this, so nothing lost on me.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was a lot better than I was expecting. I'm a big fan of them letting Mia Yim getting the pin here. It seems like she might become the de facto leader of the Dollhouse and probably the next challenger for Gail Kim, which are all good things.
Yes, very, because it might actually be a good match. So on for that. I agree with you. The match was actually pretty good. Just, I hate it when you kind of telegraph the finish, but that kind of had to be. It works for Maria's character. I'm not saying that. It's just, I hate when that kind of stuff happens. Basically, Kurt Angle comes out to talk to the fans because it's his farewell tour, and then Lashley comes out and basically, Kurt Angle wants to go right now because Lashley pisses him off, and we're gonna get that match eventually. And then we get Eli Drake and Odarg the Great. Greato spelled backwards. This was what it was. It was a fun thing. Odarg wins, but then guess what? He takes too long to put the towel on, and then also forgets his mask. So they find it, and Drake shows up with it, and Billy Corrigan tells him he has to get out of there. And then, DOA shows up to take him out of the building. So.
Because what else are they going to do at this point in their careers?
Yep. They're supposedly the guys involved in production. So.
Oh my goodness. Not the highlight of the night for sure.
Not at all. And mostly because Eli Drake is just completely boring.
Oh boy, it's the people. I don't know. I just don't know what people see with him. He's so bland. But anyway, we get to this title match. I didn't get to totally watch a lot of it because I was sitting here starting to talk to Gary about the show at this point. I did see sort of the finish with Rebby coming down with a hammer, and then Spud comes down, and then you get the turn. EC3 is bleeding at this point, and he loses because of Rockstar Spud. Nice turn. What did you think about the match, Paul?
I thought it was a really fun match. Hardy and EC3 have some chemistry together. This was very much about the Spud turn, though. Try to move EC3 away from the championship for a little bit, and we'll see what we get out of that with the position switch here with EC3 being the face and Spud as the heel. And, where's Matt going to go now?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in Rockstar Spud. I mean, I expected this kind of behavior from Andrews, but, that's okay. And legitimately, I'm a fan of Rockstar Spud. I think the guy is he's an interesting talent. I enjoy his mic skills. His in-ring ability isn't terrible. So saying all that, he'll be a nice guy for to EC3 to feud with a little bit here, and like Paul just said, kind of get EC3 away from the title. But this is not bad. I mean, to me, it makes sense, and it adds a little bit more intrigue to what's going on here. So I'm okay, and I really thought this was good.
Yeah, that's TNA.
All right, guys. Well, we only have one thing left to do, and that is crown a superstar of the week. So we'll be right back and do that.
Superstar of the week.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and start from number 1. That is 1 point. And we think that Kevin Owens deserves 1 point. He did retain his IC championship at Fastlane. So, Paul, do you think that, kind of give me why you think it deserved a point?
Certainly a terrific match against Dolph Ziggler. Just, not as good as some of the other stuff we would see over the week.
And 2 points, Matt Hardy retained his championship at, this lockdown event that they just had. So, Sean, can you give me your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Paul already told you about the match. I mean, you had the nice turn at the end, and Matt Hardy wins. I mean,
and the 2 points, he continues to streak. This guy he can't get off our system here, but he deserves it. So. We're going to move on to 3 points going to Kalisto, and of course he retained his U.S. championship against Alberto Del Rio in the pre-show match on Fastlane, which is kind of crazy. You never thought we'd be talking about a pre-show match, but Sean, you really thought a lot of this.
Yeah, I really liked the pre-show match. It was really well done. You can say what you want about the no DQ as the first fall, but they really turned it up for that last fall, and Kalisto getting that surprise win made it even better, too.
And Ishii, for us this week, gets 4 points, and Paul, kind of give us an idea why.
Spectacular match against Roderick Strong at Honor Rising this past Saturday. Or 2 Saturdays ago now, I guess.
Friday, I think.
It was a day. That's about all we know.
I don't remember either.
At any rate, Ishii gets a big win, a surprise win, and, goes into the 14th anniversary show later today, if you're listening live, against Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, and as I said earlier, God have mercy on their skulls.
Oof. Dr. Maroon better watch out. He's going to have more patience. And, of course, we have 5 points going to, drumroll, Roman Reigns. Yeah, and winning the number one contendership at Fastlane to go against Triple H at WrestleMania for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So this is interesting, Paul. I mean, we give this guy, a lot of hard times at times, but, I mean, he gets number one here.
Certainly earned it. A terrific triple threat match at Fastlane. Plus, you get to book yourself to the main event of WrestleMania once again, so always strong showing.
That's right. It's awesome. So, Sean, I mean, Roman Reigns gets 5 points. I don't think he's been on our board a whole lot this year. But, I mean,
it's the first time.
First time, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm guessing Matt Hardy's still leading us, huh?
Yeah, Matt Hardy, 12 points.
Wow.
And Kalisto and Okada again at 9.
There you go. So, the journey continues. But right now, Roman Reigns is our superstar of the week. So, congratulations to him. And, of course, we've got a lot of things going on this next week. So, we'll be really curious to see who our superstar of the week next week will be. But just to let everybody know, a reminder, don't forget, this Sunday night, we will be talking Ring of Honor 14th anniversary show. We'll be getting into that and maybe a few other things, so you don't want to miss that. It'll be a lot of fun for us. Plus, Sean, we got some other things coming everybody's way on the W2M network. Why don't you go ahead and give them a few things?
Yeah, so, Harry already told you about the Wrestling and Rap looking at WrestleMania 30 on Sunday, right before we do that special at 8 Eastern. Or thereabouts if you want to listen live. If not, on demand, WTM Network or YouTube or wherever the heck other else you want to listen to. They also have their own iTunes and all that stuff too if you want to just have their podcast by itself. Randy's not answering me right now, so I don't know if we're doing F2F now or we're doing it on Friday. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. We did do a co-op multi yesterday right before I went to work. So if you want to listen to all the stuff that's been going on in video games, you can check that out as well. I've been playing Fire Emblem Fates and enjoying the crap out of that. And we played the Division beta, Mark and I did, so we talked about that as well. What else? I'm sure there will be a Running Wild podcast. I'm sure there will be a TWNE. I will say this, Randall sometimes, gets, because he also writes for Goliath.com, so he writes wrestling articles as his job, 9 to 5. And sometimes, having the kid and everything, he does sometimes not do a show. So if you like his show and you come around on a Sunday morning and it's not there, usually because something happened, he just couldn't do it. But
he's good. Just to let everybody know, he's really good at letting you know if he's doing or not doing a show. So you'll need to join his Facebook page, subscribe to that, and it'll definitely. Or just
go to the. I told him to post all of his articles in the WTM group.
Okay.
So he should post that he's going live in the group as well.
Okay.
So.
Good.
And then, what else did we do? Oh, Randy did have an episode of Backlog Busting as well. So if you're into older video games, you always listen to that up there too. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the stuff that we've done recently. Of course, we'll be back on Thursday talking about the first New Japan Cup show. And we'll also be doing, Road to WrestleMania continues.
Yeah.
Along with that, and then whatever else is going on in wrestling. So.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank everybody for sticking around. I know we went plus 3 hours, and it is amazing. But we had Harry on, and, sometimes when you get an extra person on, it adds time. That's okay. We love Harry, and we're glad to have him on with us. And so Every once in a while you got to do these kind of shows. A lot of content, a lot of things to get into. Our Raw segment, our quick hits went longer than we ever expected, but hey, we had a fun job, fun time doing it. It was a blast, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, next week it'll probably be back to our normal thing, and we'll hopefully have a great time doing it then too. So we thank you all for joining us tonight. Don't forget, hey, if you are a first-time listener, you want to hear more, subscribe to the W2M Network, and you will get us every time that we have a show, anytime we have a special. And of course, you can always go and check out the Facebook page as well. We are, always available on there. You can send in questions, send in anything you want, post things that you think is interesting, and that's always available at your, disposal. So, and also don't forget, rate, review. That always helps us. Just go into iTunes and do it, and you just do us a favor doing that. So, well, thanks everybody, and we hope to see you guys next week. And always remember, we are affiliated with LastWordOnSports.com. Love those guys over there, and of course, 411mania.com. Plus, hey, W2M Network. Don't forget that. But anyway, till next week. Always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Later.